Happy 4th of July Eve, everybody. Liam Murphy back. Can I buy a piece of this draft? Sorry, brother. Not for sale. LFG. Let's get it. You know, just got outside, touched some grass, hit some tennis balls, hit some serves, getting back into tennis, playing well. Can't really find anyone to hit with, but brutal heat here in Florida. And I figured 4th of July is tomorrow. Let's go, America. Might as well do a mini draftathon. For me, that means 2, probably max 3 drafts. We got ourselves, of course, an American beverage to celebrate. Gonna be ripping some drafts on Underdog. And I'm 200 subscribers away from 5K. So if by some miracle we get that on this draftathon, we'll do another draft. Why not? You know? What's up, Jacob? Jacob, if you want to come in this draft, I'll send you this link. Hold on. I got to drop out of this draft to get the link. Actually, no, I don't. I've sent the link to some other people. They may be joining. But Jacob, if you're free right now and you want to rip this draft with me, you are invited. Going 3 early tight end again last night. Let's pull up that draft because what happened last night, I didn't realize you were in there, is I did double elite tight end and I set my phone to be, it goes on sleep mode, my iPhone, from the hours of like, maybe it's 12:30, maybe it's 1:30 until like 9 a.m. or something like that. So what happens when I put it on sleep mode is I no longer get notifications while I draft. And at night when I'm like single tabling a draft, usually I'm watching something on TV, or I'm reading something. So I'm not like watching the draft tick by. I'm counting on Underdog to notify me about the draft. And so I started a Andrews Kittle team planning to be done at tight end, and then auto drafted Jake Ferguson, who was just highest in my rankings. And so F it, we ball 3 tight end room. I don't hate how the team turned out. We got Hurts unstacked, correlates with Ferguson, of course. We got, what's up, Jacob? We're breaking down this team. Were you in this draft?
I was picking at the 7 hole, and I was I was trying to set up to get Bowers, and then I'm using Ferguson as my cover, and I see the one person who I feel like I can most predict to be rational in this draft is Liam. And then he rips Ferguson as his 3rd tight end, and I was like, what the actual fuck? Because then Bowers goes directly in front of me. I ended up pivoting to Njoku. I was rattled. I was mad.
I didn't know it. I don't know if you just heard what I said, but what happened is
I did. Yeah.
And it is I put my phone on sleep mode, and I was like out of the app. It's late at night. Maybe we had some substances, whatever. We were sleepy, and we're just like, whatever. We can just kind of like, we went wide receiver heavy. We'll get our tight ends. We'll go running back heavy. Then we'll end with some more wide receiver darts. Didn't get the notification. Auto drafted Ferguson. Same thing happened to me where I went 2 elite quarterbacks and I auto drafted Mahomes, and so I like forced Justin Watson in a team. Just say we're not doing anything hard. But yeah, I'm sure I was in a draft with Tyler, and I'm sure he was like, "What the hell is this guy doing?" I have like a Mahomes, Stroud, Burrow team. Let's find it. It's not pretty, but we did it. And honestly, I don't hate how it ended. It's a little bit of a luxury.
Interesting. I didn't know that it was by accident. I kind of hoped that it was. Like when I saw you go for the Kittle, I was like, oh, 2 elite tight end. That's interesting. And then when I saw the Ferguson, I was like, I got to hear him explain this strategy. This is a new one for me.
The Ferguson was autoed. This one I lost service on. Oh, have I not been sharing my screen this whole time? Jesus Christ. No. We had a beer, but this one I autoed Mahomes, right?
Oh, the Mahomes, Stroud, Burrow. There you go. Yeah.
With And then I missed out on Worthy, Rice, and Hollywood. And so I was like, whatever. But I already had taken Chase, and I'm just going to take Chase. And then I went with Stroud because I have Nico. And so whatever, we ball. We ended with Justin Watson. We ended with Nelson Aguilar. Two dudes who don't profile at all to be a Puka Nacua type breakout, but they do qualify for the drafted sub 1% of the time. Let's just spike week 17. Justin Watson, I recently wrote an article on beatbestball.com about guys who are rarely drafted. And what I wrote about Justin Watson is, have you heard of this Nico Remigio guy?
I haven't, no.
He wide receiver of the Chiefs, getting a little buzz, right? It's early. They also have Tony. They also have Hardman. They also have Justin Ross. And so I was like, it's quite unlikely that
Sky
Watson
Moore not even going to mention anymore.
yeah. Sky Moore. No, he didn't make the cut. Watson to me is going to make the team. And he's probably going to be the wide receiver 4, but
and probably the wide receiver 3 for 6 weeks.
Yeah, and that could be the case with Rice, right? He's going to run these deep A-dot rolls, whatever. Plays the Steelers, could be worse matchups there, who typically pass rush, but can give up some big passes. And so I don't hate the Watson click. It's not something I plan to do more than once, but we're getting different. We're getting different in these streets. Anyways, Jacob.
I had to do it once. I did the Mahomes leap of faith in the 5th without Kelsey, thinking I would hope that one of Worthy or Rice got back to me. They didn't, and I had to do CEH Watson round 17, round 18. And it didn't feel good, but I did it.
Yeah, you have to you have to kind of risk. If you're going to take Mahomes, you're occasionally going to have to risk that you're just not going to get any of the main stack partners. And so it's what do you do? Do you go in with naked Mahomes, or you mix in some Justin Watson? All right. I usually don't do guest streams for BBM5, but Jacob, a co-manager of mine in the FFPC, let's just win BBM5 and chop it up, Jacob. You and me right here. We pulled the 109. I'm on the road to 5K here. We might even hit it this stream. But Jacob, how you been, brother? What's going on with you?
I've been good, man. Yeah, I'm chilling right now. I'm on vacation for about a week and a half here. So I'm going to Calgary Stampede tonight, flying out, which is apparently people don't know what this is in America. I learned today when I was on Ben's stream, but big rodeo situation, a lot of drinking, a lot of leather. So I'll be doing that soon. And then I've just been basically just chilling and packing this morning. I was on one stream earlier, was checking out what was online. Saw you were going live. I wanted to ask you what the hell that Jake Ferguson pick was, and now I'm drafting a team with you. So sounds great.
Yeah, and that's how, one of my favorite streams I did last year was, do you remember when
Dalvin Cook signed?
Yes, Dalvin Cook signed. And how I've always kind of done my guest streams is hey dude, are you free today? And usually they're like, no, but occasionally and I just sent the link out to everyone. And next thing you know, we got Evan Silva popping in, Sam Sherman, Pat Davis. It was a good time. That
was a really chaotic stream. Yeah, that was hilarious. I was just in the comments watching you and Pat, and then you were like, come on. I was like, sure. And then 5 other people came on. I think there were 5 of us that drafted I forget what we drafted in, but we drafted some crazy ass team at I was in Ireland. It was 5 a.m. my time. That was great.
I'm going to Ireland this Sunday.
Oh, fun.
For the first time.
Good for you. Oh, we got such a crappy spot, hey? 109. That sucks.
Well, I don't know, because it's why can't Puka, AJ Brown, or Garrett Wilson be the wide receiver 1?
They can.
And who's your favorite?
I mean, my favorite's probably Garrett, but I don't really care. I mix them around.
If your favorite's Garrett, I'm down to go Garrett. I would say my favorite's Puka, but I see the case for all of them.
I don't have a very strong take on one being that much better than the others. I take Garrett the most, but I definitely mix in Puka and AJ. I don't want it to be a 25-0-0 situation.
I've not gotten as much Garrett on underdog, so I'm down to get that here. And I'm kind of big on just betting on the Jets' second target. Mike Williams is not the funnest click in the world, where literally zero downside. Like has a zero as his downside is what I mean.
Yeah.
Not like
Yeah.
not zero downside. Tyler Conklin, one of my favorites, but even him,
Oh,
like he
wow.
could be pushed by Jeremy Ruckert.
Someone
And
at the
then
12 just did the combo I was recommending in my article this week. I
I
imagine
wanted to
not
talk to you
related to
about
me,
that
but
because I had the same thoughts. I'm quite interested in Ayuk in this room where we're streaming and we just saw all the wide receivers
well,
pile.
yeah, I mean, I'm certainly me going against your recommendation of Ayuk on a stream has not gone well for me in the past, so I can't push against it here.
Let's debrief that. Last year, me,
For one
Ron,
second, I was
and
going to be like, "What about Olave?" But I think I got to let you use you have a lifelong pass to force me to draft Brandon Ayuk whenever you want to.
yeah,
You have
last
that.
year, me, Jacob, and Ron built a really strong team, and Jacob wanted Deontay Johnson, just kind of chasing the target share, etc. And I
I
really
want to
wanted
count
Ayuk.
Pitts, actually.
Oh, you want to count Pitts, and then you would settle for
Yeah.
Johnson. And I really wanted
Yeah.
Ayuk because I was like, look, we need to swing for upside. And Ron was like paralyzed. And what really sold Ron as like the clock is ticking down is I go, Ron, think in your heart of hearts. It's the fantasy playoffs. Is Deontay Johnson going for 40 points to win us it? And he's like, no, he's not. And so that sold us on Ayuk. Our team was monstrous, but that's just how it goes in the main event. You
Yeah.
have to be nutted in the playoffs to
All
win.
out at the end.
Um,
We had the Diggs ETN combo, which was a lot more fun in the first 8 weeks than it was in the next 8 weeks.
that's a thing about last year that people won't remember is to start the year, you were way happier to have Diggs and AJ Brown, who was kind of like the guys I was going for mostly, and not CD Lamb. And then the second half of the year, that 100% flipped.
Well, I had 2 of my main event teams. One of them was this one with you, where we had Diggs and we had ETN. And then I had another main event team where I had Lamb and I had Hall. And you could literally see the change as the year progressed, where it was like early on, like this team was so good, that team fucking sucked. And then it was like slowly like flipping over the course of the season.
Did
These
you
2
make
combos.
did you make the playoffs with that team?
We made the playoffs and we lost in the first round because we had to go against DK, who had like 40 points on Thursday night. Like we got in as the 4 seed and we finished like 3rd in the consolation bracket. It was really depressing.
So
We
you
would have had a
didn't make the
monster
sprint
finals.
portion of
No,
the
and it was so we would have been like top 10 in the sprint because we had Adams too.
I was
who
gonna ask you
massively
because you would have
17.
maybe like I don't know
It
if
would
you
have been it would
retroactively
have been a
done the
top
math.
10 team in the sprint. Oh, I tracked it and it was really
Yeah.
depressing. Yeah, we killed that consolation bracket, baby. It was it was tough. It's tough for sure to lose out on.
Enough about the past. I want a couple things I want to say. Gibbs, as someone who does high stakes drafts on the 555, I don't know why. He does have a Q tag on DraftKings, so that's probably why. But I'm seeing him. I literally saw him fall to the to pair with the 105 yesterday.
Wow.
Which seems kind of crazy to me. I'm a big proponent of unique combos. As my first article on my site, which is free if you guys haven't read it, was about unique combos. And I've not read your article yet. I've heard a lot of people citing it, and it's literally a thought I was going to write up myself. And it seems like I'm big into Zay here, unless you want to go Diggs.
I like both of them pretty much equally. I don't really care. Whichever one you want.
The thing about Diggs is almost certainly got hurt in that Jacksonville game. And so possible he's just like dust Nico and Tank, but Nico and Tank just seem really good. So, and he's old.
Yeah, I like both those guys. I think I'm pretty overweight on both.
But what
whoever started at 3, by the way, like I would give a lot for a Tyreek Hill, Jonathan Taylor, Malik Neighbors start. That's unreal.
You can get that a lot of times, though. That's not
Taylor falling that far. I haven't seen.
Yeah, JT's falling a lot, and it's paired with Saquon falling. We're at the time of the year where quarterbacks are falling, running backs are falling. You really don't want to be getting buried at wide receiver because there's just like way more people doing. Like we have 4 drafters in a row who all went 3 wide receiver. Like when have we ever seen that?
Yeah, we got the piss boys in the back here.
How many likes for a second draft, brother? I'm doing minimum 3, so you're secured here.
Who you got
Okay.
here?
There are wide receivers. There are tight ends.
I
There
like
is
the tight ends
ETN.
here.
Okay.
I think I probably like Kelsey here probably, but I'm fine with any of the other tight ends if you like one of those more. We have Ayuk. I guess Laporta would make sense.
Okay. We'll go Laporta. Honestly, I want exposure to these four pretty evenly. Kincaid, I really like on tight end premium PPR. He could just like very clearly be Buffalo's one. Laporta definitely ran hot on touchdowns, but going to be the second target of the Lions again. They played 12 dome games. Jacob, I didn't realize you were a vapor, brother. Are you a cloud chaser?
We are, unfortunately.
Are only on vacation mode?
I mean, not. I don't like during the day, but yeah, post work and certainly on vacation mode, we're cloud
Hell
chasing.
yeah, that's sick, dude. When
Got a blue
I get
raspberry right
sued by
here.
someone,
Don't
I'm
recommend.
hiring you as my lawyer, and you better rip some clouds in court.
I will.
But
Certainly
Jacob,
will.
summarize your article because
Yeah.
I think I can guess it, which was basically that the 12 hole is a bad spot to be picking.
Yeah.
We're not getting the wide receiver one. We're not getting the running back one. So we might as well get unique combos here. Is that the summary?
That's pretty much the too long don't read version of it. Yeah. Like it's basically the idea is if you just draft at ADP, like the combos provided, you just have a way worse version of the teams that are drafted at like 2 through 3, right? Like you're going to war with like a Drake London, Marvin Harrison, T. Higgins team against a CeeDee Lamb, Malik Neighbors, Debo Samuel team. And like your odds of winning that war are just not particularly high. So, one alternative is you could take the running back route, right? Like you could like double tap Gibbs Taylor. I think for me, it's basically just, take the chance to get unique combos. If I'm going Gibbs there, I'm almost always pairing him with a 49ers wide receiver. I love going Nico Waddle like this guy did. That's probably my favorite option. Sometimes you can then add one of Dell or Diggs even at the 312, set up a double stack, potentially even pair them with Flowers, and you can start to get the earlier stack of Miami, Houston with the Baltimore, Houston stack. Get Stroud falls there pretty frequently. And then the other one you could look at is Olave Adams, too, is one that I shouted out. Basically, just you want to take advantage of what you do have going in your favor at the 112, which is you're drafting with more information because you always know what your next pick is going to be every time you make a pick. And you get the chance to draft really intentionally. So trying to look at the upside of drafting in a pretty shitty spot, and you want to be prioritizing correlation, prioritizing uniqueness. Gave some examples and stuff in the piece. It was fun. I'm trying to have fun with that slot because I feel like the other aspect of it too, right? I'm talking about uniqueness is like so much of the, especially early in draft, you get these combos that are driven solely by where they go. And it's like, there's no reason why Marvin Harrison and Jahmyr Gibbs have any correlation to one another. But yet, like, conditional on Jahmyr Gibbs having a massive season, Marvin Harrison's just going to have a better advance rate than he deserves for no particular reason. So, like, why would you want to then be the team showing up with Marvin Harrison if you're the team with Gibbs? Like, you'd rather be showing up with Ayuk, who probably projects 97% as well, and has correlation and will have, a third of the ownership.
Yeah. So in my article, the free one I wrote about CeeDee Lamb, we don't even have to guess what the field's doing here because I pulled the data just kind of like Lamb was a chalk 1-2 turn guy, meaning back half of the draft.
Mm-hmm.
And he was paired with Garrett Wilson 10%, Saquon 10%, Nick Chubb 10%. He was paired with T. Higgins 0.5%. He was paired with Olave 0.5%. He was paired with Derrick Henry 0.5%. So it's like literally you're getting combos that are 20 times rarer, etc. Some of my favorite combos to go at the 1-2 turn that I've done, like literally since day one, is Nico Ayuk. I just really like both those guys as betting on good offenses, really single high weekly upside. I've taken Achane in a 5-5-5 draft to pair with Marvin Harrison Jr. Like literally exactly like I'm literally rolling the dice of me with Achane and Marvin Harrison Jr. versus all of the Gibbs Marvin Harrison Jr. teams.
Right.
And what I was going to write in my article, which I don't feel as much the need to write about because it seems that you did, is the second round, like what we're doing right now in best ball land in the market is we realize we need to start 3 wide receivers each week. We realize that like we've pushed down all these running backs. And so, no, we don't necessarily. Let's make our pick real quick here, by the way.
What do we
I
like
like
here?
Rome quite a bit. If we want
Okay.
to,
I
if
was
we
I was
want to
gonna
go,
advocate for Cook, but I'm totally fine with Rome. We might even get Cook coming back to us based on this room. So
let's do James because I love James as a one of the only running backs to get an actual air yard share down the field last year, along with CMC. Has stone hands, but like if he just holds on to the ball a little bit more,
he's a very good receiving back, except for the actual receiving part of it.
except catching the ball, yeah.
Yeah.
Which like Ray Davis is going to be good at, I think, but he's not going to be the same explosion.
He's an outlet guy. He's not a scheme touch guy.
Yeah, which like look, Latavius Murray and Ty Johnson got run at that, even Fournette for a day. But what I was gonna, what we're doing here is we're
RB run
pricing up
here.
a lot of wide receivers, such as maybe, like and what is the actual difference between like DK Metcalf used to go at the 3-4. What's the actual difference between DK Metcalf and Drake London? Not much. Where okay, DK Metcalf, the number 1 in Seattle, London, the number 1 of Atlanta. Maybe you could say Metcalf has more target competition. But the point is, when there's very little projection difference, it is a great time for us to get unique. So I think the second round as a whole is a good spot to start reaching for unique combos. And really, we want to be doing this at the back half a little bit more, just because we're feeling we're giving up a little bit facing a Lamb CMC Tyreek team where I'm comfortable taking almost any of these wide receiver names other than like
Who do you like here?
I like Worthy. I like all of these wide receivers.
Yeah, I'd be fine with Worthy. I'd be fine with Kittle. I'd be fine with
Let's do Kittle.
those are probably the 2 best. Yeah.
Kittle still has an elite single week upside, arguably the highest in the whole tight end pool, which is like kind of the game we're playing. And we're just building out that fun stack where I really like Purdy too, is just like be efficient again. But yeah, I feel like the second round is a really great time as a whole to just start reaching where I'm okay giving up some London exposure for like why not take DJ Moore there sometimes? Why not take Devonta Smith there sometimes? Why not take Debo there sometimes? Why not take Mike Evans there sometimes? I'm not as thrilled to take it like a guy like Zay Flowers in the second, just because I can get him in the third. But even that is acceptable to me because you're still getting unique 4 combo of players compared to what the field is doing.
I think that the time to do the Zay Flowers reach is in the early third so that you could set up the Ravens double stack. Like if you get Nico at like pick like 20 and then you go Flowers in the early third and then you can go Nico, Flowers, Jackson, Andrews. I think that's the way to play Flowers in my opinion.
Yeah, I really like Flowers. And I see a lot of people citing like Mark Andrews and Flowers splits where it's pretty nonsensical to me because you're citing the first half of the season where Flowers was a rookie, and he flashed elite single week upside, in my opinion, where in that Chiefs game in the playoffs, he got like pushed out at the half-yard line, right? Like he could have had a 40-point game or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's what you want to see is you want to see a player who can be the only major weapon and then succeed anyway, right? That shows skill to me when a player can do that. So I'm bullish on Flowers and I'm bullish on Andrews. I don't view that as an either or situation. I think Andrews in the context of this tight end economy is very underpriced. And Flowers strikes me as really one of the last bets that I feel good about. Like I feel strongly about him and Dell and Higgins. And then I like Kirk a decent amount, but yeah, as soon as I start getting into like Hollywood Brown,
Kirk is
Terry
the cutoff.
McLaurin,
Kirk is the cutoff. Where now it's George Pickens. It's George Pickens. It's Cooper.
I don't like Cooper as much as Kirk either, and I don't.
It's Terry McLaurin.
I think Hollywood's price is like pretty piss poor.
It's Hollywood, which like the thing about the Chiefs is you're paying for the ambiguity. Where like compare the Chiefs to Buffalo. Buffalo is kind of like a cheap ambiguous, right? Where it's
I like
like
the other Chiefs prices. I don't like Hollywood's price at all. I don't understand why he's the most expensive of the three. He hasn't
because
been
he
good in like
sat
3 years.
next to Mahomes courtside and then ship chasing
Right.
steamed that out, and everyone was like, "Great, yeah, that's logical. That correlates to fantasy points." No,
Yeah.
I mean it's like really little things like that, right? Like, okay, Keon Coleman has some positive interviews, 6th round pick. Brandon Bean says Keon Coleman didn't block well in college. Let's drop him around. Like that is what we're playing with right now as far as like what people are acting on. To me, Coleman was not a buy at the 5-6
That was pretty
and
gross.
even the 5th. But now
He
that
might be a buy for us right here at the
he's a slam
7.9.
dunk at 81. Like a slam dunk where the next names that go are this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Gross.
And like, come on, Jamin. Don't be watching. Let's go.
All right. We're taking Coleman for sure, right? We're
Yeah,
already building up that game.
that's a slam dunk to be
rolling.
getting him here. Like, yeah, I got some
That feels like we just got gifted the chance to do double elite tight end, and we didn't have to pay for it at all because we're set up with plenty of potential late quarterback stacks, right? We can do Goff, we can do Purdy, we can do Rodgers, and we even got a running back in there with Jim Cook. We're running circles around this draft room right now.
Yeah, this feels real nice. And like, yeah, like I tweeted this about Coleman today because I saw some negative buzz where, like I'm not like saying anything transcendent here, but and this is kind of my view of like people who are trying to nitpick Shakir, Curtis Samuel, is I said Keon Coleman is a polarizing prospect. Downside possibilities certainly exist, but it's not difficult to make an upside case. He outperformed Jaden Reed as a sophomore at Michigan State. Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs are gone. We'll come back to that after we make this pick. Feels like this is the time to take one of Swift or Warren. I like both.
I like both too. They're two of my highest drafted players. Totally happy with either. No correlation either way. So I don't know. Whoever you like more is totally fine with me. I flip these two back and forth pretty much.
So what I like to do here is just the shuffle and let
nice.
This is like my version of randomizing.
I like it.
Swift is the one who will more often fall, so like that's enough to be a tie break. We got Warren.
There you go. Yeah, I like both those guys a ton. Those two and Brooks are my favorite three in this kind of grouping.
We'll come back to that because I want to ask you about another running back. But I said Gabe Davis, not very good, right? Like we're not like wow, Gabe Davis is like burning people all over the field. But these are his stats, in Buffalo. Past 2 years, roughly 800 yards, 7 touchdowns almost every season of his career, in a super deep ADOT type of role. And, in a wide receiver market that's more expensive than ever, he seems like a clear buy when the next names off the board are Cortland Sutton, Lockett, Mike Williams, Curtis Samuel. Not impossible he is the Bills' #1 overall target, right? Where I think Kincaid is the chalk pick. I think Shakir will be a high ADOT slot that can give you some weeks. Curtis Samuel's really intriguing where he's probably going to get some running back usage. He's kind of like if something happens to James Cook, he might get some serious run as a pass catcher out of the backfield.
Yeah, could be.
And like just seems like a close your eyes and buy when like, okay, he goes after JSN who disappointed, right? And then we're drafting like the old dudes after that.
Yeah, I was out on Keon at his 6th round price tag for sure because I thought he was just like pretty clearly the worst bet of those 4 rookies behind Worthy and Ladd and Thomas. But now at this price, definitely in. Yeah, and I'm in on. I think the only bill that I'm not in on is Shakir because we have, I think, a pretty reasonable sample now of him not earning a lot of volume on his routes. And unlike Gabe Davis, we also have volume of routes concerns. Like I'm not assured what his route share is going to be, and I'm pretty sure he's not going to earn a lot of volume per route. I'd rather play it other
600
ways.
yards though last year, like
Yeah, I'm just usually clicking running backs where he goes anyway.
That is fair, right? That's a fair and me too. Like it's tough to click Shakir over a running back because you feel like you're giving up a league winner. But
yeah,
when you do go
I
running
take
back heavy,
Samuel.
he's the
I take
guy.
Samuel a lot on Allen teams and
I love
occasionally on Brees teams because it fits where A, like he correlates. B, once you've drafted Allen and or Brees, you already have devoted an early pick to not wide receiver. So you're just more likely to need to extend into that next wide receiver group with Samuel. And then Coleman at his new price, I'm going to be drafting a lot. And Cook is one of my most drafted running backs. I think he is a fundamentally mispriced player, in my opinion. Kincaid, I like some of the other tight ends a little more, but I'm very in on early tight end as a strategy, and I don't want to be too hubristic to look back on this, be like, I was right about early tight end, but I just didn't like Dalton Kincaid enough, so I'm going to be over market.
Yeah, it's a bit of a leap of faith with the touchdowns, but why not 1,010? Like, can't he be that? Can't he just be Josh Allen's Kelsey? It seems like he was drafted for that reason after
Totally.
the Bills have lost to Kelsey like literally every year. Let's make our pick here. Purdy, if we don't want to risk it, feels fine. We're like kind of a
we're not going to
tier.
lose him, are we? Like Debo's behind us, isn't he?
Well, who's the guy you're stamping up for? I guess I'd ask.
That's what I'm. Yeah, I don't know that there is anyone. I guess would be the counter to that. Like it'd probably be like B Rob for me, or Javonte, but Javante's buried in your rankings. Wow.
I think we go quarterback. Yeah, Javonte is buried in my rankings because I think people are getting a little too cute with the Broncos, where they are 5.5 win total team. Maybe Bo Nix is good and everything changes. Yes, Bo Nix was a really low ADOT guy. Yes, Sean Payton supported all these great running back seasons. But on underdog, you strictly do need to score touchdowns to pay off. And the Broncos could be the league lowest touchdown offense. Period. Right?
Possible.
And now you have for Javonte, you could be squeezed by McLaughlin in the passing game. You could be squeezed by Estime in the short game, where maybe you're losing some goal line usage there. P. Ryan's still there, who we know is a good receiver. Maybe he's out of there, but it just seems tough where you're on a bad team. You're getting squeezed from both sides of the high value touch tree, both in the red zone, both in the passing game, theoretically. Just doesn't seem like a guy who's going to punish me.
Yeah, fair enough. I disagree a bit. I think there is upside to this offense. I think there's going to be a lot of expected fantasy points in this backfield.
I mean, there's potential upside.
I'm not very into on McLaughlin because I think he just is a role player. I'm very in on both.
Let's pause it, brother, and rip a pick here.
All right.
I like Benson
I'm okay with Benson. Yeah. I mean, that's fine.
I mean, like Benson, okay, third round, not quite what we wanted, but in my mind, third round is the same thing as maybe even first round.
Third round too.
5 years ago, top of the third round. Still explosive, still an offense I want pieces from. James Conner gonna be the 1A, but I think Benson could be the 1B.
And fits nicely here. I mean, we went with an early. It's kind of funny to be in this environment where we draft James Cook as our RB1 in round 5, and I'm like, we already took a chance on an early running back. But that is kind of how it feels. Like we devoted one spot to a legitimate running back, and Boren, maybe not quite like the early season profile of like a Connor, but is very clearly going to have a role. I think it fits totally fine to take a.
And I go quite a bit of teams this way, where we go wide receiver heavy to start, and we're kind of counting on those dudes to like hit our starting lineup a lot, and then with this trio, probably stopping at 5, and that allows us to just add 5 more darts at wideout.
The amount of teams that I have done that are very much like this, where I go James Cook RB1 plus 4 running backs in rounds like 7 through 11, and then stop. That's like one of my preferred ways to build for sure.
So again, I don't feel like we finished the Javonte thing. He's a mix in for me when he falls significantly past ADP, but like something I'm really trying to focus on is the offenses that can and can't be elite. And so like that has me passing a little bit on the Singletaries, the Javantes, etc. of the world, where I'd just rather roll the dice on players I think are going to be on better offenses and therefore have higher touchdown equity.
You always do a good job of that. Anytime that we've done these, I know you're always a good reality check against some players that I really like. And then, you come in and you're just like, that offense sucks, bro. Like, they're not going to score. And I was like, yeah, that is true. That is good. Like you're definitely more willing to draft some of the mediocre talent profiles and good offenses and fade some of the better talent profiles and bad offenses than I generally am. And I think sometimes it's good to get that balanced out.
And it's a mix, right? Like, you want to be betting on talent, but with Javonte, okay, he played off injury, so like he's got to be a little bit more juice, but it's not like McLaughlin had issues last year, but second year running back, usually the year that things happen. Audric Estime was drafted by this regime.
I like Estime a lot.
Perine still breathes,
I think he's not going to be on the team, but yeah, possible.
I think we're wish casting that. I do think we're wish casting that, like.
We'll see.
What tangible evidence do we have that Perine is going to be cut?
I mean, Albright's probably a very weird human, but a decently reliable.
Yeah, I don't trust a lot of his takes.
Like, I don't trust his takes on dating, but I do trust his takes on the Broncos.
We'll have to debrief that another time.
All right, what do we got here?
I really like Ford as our last running back. I think I'm going to stamp down, and
Ford?
I think we're going to get your guy who I know who you want here. I think we're going to get him. We might not, though.
All right. I'm looking at Ford.
The thing about Ford is he's essentially the same bet as Jaylen Warren, but cheaper. Where not going to have goal line equity.
He's good.
He's not like I was the first one to coin Jaylen Warren as 85% Austin Eckler. I was drafting Jaylen Warren his rookie year, but Ford was explosive, man, and he played through an ankle injury. He can catch the ball. I don't take Chubb at all. So like I'm just not taking the injured players.
I wasn't taking Chubb at all. And I was pretty sure I was gonna have 0% for the full season. I don't know. He's falling into like the 140s now. I think it's fine.
I take him when the next name off the board is Tyler Algier. That's when I've taken him. I just don't want to have zero it's hard for Chubb to bury you. I know you wanted Downs here, right?
I would have been into Downs. I would have been into Polk too. Both those guys going a little bit painful. What is the wide receiver situation for us now? Because I would like to add
now we're looking at like Xavier Legette and co.
Well, I really like him.
I don't think Polk should be going ahead of Legette necessarily. Like, okay, I think
Legette, my Legette exposure might blow your mind. I have 39%.
I'm getting him a lot because it's just like he'll randomly fall to the 150s and 60s, especially,
I'm pretty into Legette here, and one reason being that we really only have one viable stack on the board for us right now. I would like to open up some other ones, so I was hoping we would be able to get Polk or Legette to start opening up later stacks, because right now our only real option is Rodgers.
Yeah, and Rodgers is also tanking in the market.
Yeah,
Stroud is too. Like, it's happening at both the cheap and expensive end. I like Legette. Patriots beat reporters were saying that the Patriots probably wanted Keon Coleman or Legette and then couldn't get him, so they were willing to trade back with the Chargers, risked not getting Polk, gave the Chargers Ladd McConkey, and ended up with Jalen Polk, who I think, like, in my article the other day, I said, this is my guess if everyone's healthy for fantasy points for the Patriots wide receivers in the fantasy playoffs. I said Polk 1. I said Kendrick Bourne 2. I said Pop Douglas 3. And then 4 was Baker / KJ Osborne. And maybe Baker is really good and we're just like not really seeing that yet.
I think you're just missing Pop Douglas here to an unjustifiable degree.
I think the market is maybe ignoring that Kendrick Bourne was good last year, was the Patriots number 1. Okay, yes, he's not practicing yet, but
Golden ACL.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's not that old. He's 28.
But 28, like 28-year-old receivers coming off a torn ACL is not a very strong bet historically. Like we're talking about like first year post ACL for a non-elite talent past the age cliff, I think Bourne is unlikely to be a factor.
According to ESPN Analytics, he is an elite talent.
Oh yeah, that's
no,
true.
I mean,
true.
like, okay, ESPN Analytics.
I've always been a Bourne guy. Like, it's funny because it's kind of a similar discussion as Mike Williams. Like, I've always been a Mike Williams is underrated guy too. But if I'm betting on year one post ACL guys, like, I'll do that for Breece Hall. I'm not going to do that for Mike Williams. I'm not going to.
Well, with Kendrick Bourne, you're not even paying for it because he's undrafted by the market. So you're getting
you're not paying for it with Bourne, but what I mean is I'm not going to use Bourne as a reason not to draft other Patriots wide receivers.
I'm not doing that either. I draft Baker, I draft Douglas, I draft Polk. I'm not getting as much Polk as he climbs though, because it's like, I don't know, I've kind of packed my bag heavily in the 160s.
What's your percentage? So I have 32% Polk, 26% Douglas, 26% Baker.
Here, I'll pull it up on my phone. I got a lot of Polk early in the DK 555s before he raised. So like it's hard for me to like give you straight exposures just because I draft.
Fair enough. But I'm also a massive Drake May slappy, so I
am like, this is something that other content creators have caught up to, where I always bet on the rookie quarterbacks. Like,
yeah,
I've gone down with the ship on Zach Wilson, but I also hit on CJ Stroud because to me, when you go in the top 3 of the draft, like, I'm going to roll the dice on you when you're free in draft. So I'm rolling the dice on May quite a bit. Polk, I'm at 7% only, I guess, because he's gotten more expensive, but I would guess a lot of those teams were cheap. Leggett, I'm at 9%. I have a lot of Luke McCaffrey, just kind of shorting the Jahan Dotson, and
been profitable historically to short Jahan Dotson.
Well, and the nice thing I like about Luke McCaffrey is who else could even be the wide receiver 3 there, because I don't think there's a name on the roster that I would accept. That, like,
right.
It's not like Malachi Corley where it's like, what if Xavier Gibson is the guy? There's no even Gibson on the Commanders.
Do we?
I think
we can go Rodgers Corley at this turn. If you don't want Corley, then I would go Wright before Rodgers.
If I could choose, I would grab Wright and Rodgers, but I'm not.
Let's go Wright first. Everyone behind us has 2 quarterbacks.
Okay, let's see. Have they been drafting logically? Yes.
We got nothing but badge bros with 2 QBs behind us. I think.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. All right. Let's risk it then. Yeah. So the difference between Wright and Ray Davis to me is Wright offers more upside, but also is drawing live to be a more zero. And Ray Davis, I think, will be like, he doesn't offer close to the same upside, but I think he'll be around like 10 PPR points per game with potential. Like, his upside is that people are kind of copying, pasting Josh Allen rushing numbers where they had to like their playoffs started week 10. And so it was like, if you don't make the playoffs, you're all getting fired, So like, I don't think the Bills are going to let Josh Allen rush from the goal line to start the year necessarily. He could.
I like Ray Davis a lot. I don't. There are spots where I draft multiple running backs from the same team. I don't know that the Bills are one. I'm gonna break ties against Ray Davis if I have James Cook on my team.
I think that's actually a fun duo to do it with because Cook is not going to be the goal line role, and he offers you the single week upside, but he has a very questionable floor. Whereas Ray Davis, you're hoping for the Ray Davis games to be like 3 dump offs, 30 yards, and then 2 goal line touchdowns, So you're kind of like capturing alternating weeks.
I don't think it's bad. Like, I wouldn't. So, like, for instance, like, I would never, ever do Breece Hall and Braylon Allen.
Guys, can I get you to write cloud chasers in the stream? Just do that for me, please.
I would constantly do 2 out of the 3 Miami backs. I'm not like taking Ray Davis off my board if I have James Cook, but I'm breaking slight ties against him, just in the sense that if I'm drafting James Cook, like, one of the hopes is that he actually has a bigger role than we project, right? That he's growing into his role over time, and that Ray Davis isn't going to be as much of a factor as I think he's going to be, that Cook is going to get a portion of the goal line opportunities, that he is going to actually stay on the field for third downs this year. That's vaping without a turtleneck. What is this?
Sorry, keep going. You just ignore these. I'm just.
Oh my god. Anyway, so I think that I think you're betting a little bit against it, where I think that once you click Ray Davis, you're hoping that it's status quo on rolls, and Ray Davis just pops into gets all the long down and distance stuff.
Ty Johnson has got to be a zero. Like if Ty Johnson is the goal line, that's a disaster for Ray Davis.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's fine. I'm just like, if I have Wright, who I already value similarly to Davis, and I have Cook, I'm drafting right there every single time. I'm very bullish on Jalen Wright. I think I'm very bullish on all the Miami running backs this year.
Pop quiz. Who's the heaviest running back in
Jalen Wright?
It's Jalen Wright by a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it might be Jeff Wilson, but
he's dead.
Jalen
So
Wright,
210 pounds
on
right,
the roster.
195 Mostert, 185 Achane. Like, if they are gonna be like ramming up the middle.
And people are like obsessed with making three-way running back committees where they usually don't exist. I think Wright's not going to play very much, if at all, if Achane and Mostert are active. I think, like, if you wanted to bet on Achane and Mostert to both play 17 games this year, like, you better give me like plus 450 on that, right? Like, that's just not very likely. And Achane, or Mostert gets hurt for a 4-week stretch. I think Wright comes in, gets 40% of the workload, and is going to be a high touch per snap, high efficiency bet. And I think it's going to be successful. I think he's good. I really like Jalen Wright as a player. And I think people are just kind of uncomfortable with that backfield because of the possibility, how are you going to project it out? I don't think you have to deal with that. You just, whatever guys you get for however many games they get and whatever touches they get are going to be efficient, high-value players. I think you want to be overweight the backfield. I think you want to let it sort itself out from there. It's very, very in on Wright. I guess we need to.
I'm drafting a lot of Wright and Ray. I have loads of both.
Ray too. Me too. Two of my favorites.
So I got to update my rankings a little bit just because the market's getting a little bit crazy.
It's going to be receiver time here. I like Baker. I like McMillan. I like McCaffrey. I like Wilson. I don't know if there's anybody else. Yeah, those would be the main ones.
So Wilson kind of correlates with Trey Benson, some running back, wide receiver stuff. Let's go Luke.
That's fun.
Now let's go Michael, and we'll see if we can get Luke.
Sure.
I think, are we comfortable stopping at five? Questions we need to ask. Are we done at quarterback? Are we done at running back? I think we can justify stopping at both.
So I think we need to get at least 8 receivers, and then the final pick could either be a wide receiver, running back, or a quarterback, depending on what we like the most.
My preference is usually to go running back. Couple players I wanted to circle back on, because I know you're a Jake Ferguson fudder, so I want to talk to you about that one. And then the name that I have ranked ahead of Warren and Swift, even though I like them both, is Zach Moss, which is usually like not my style.
I'm a big Zach Moss fodder.
Usually my style is to just be like, Chase Brown fast, let's go, plays for the Bengals, etc. All right, kind of.
I like McMillan the most here personally, but I know he doesn't like correlate to anything. Is there anyone that correlates to anything here other than Braylon Allen? I guess, but.
And if we're going running back, I'd say let's go.
Raymond's like So why don't we go Allen now?
Yeah.
We stop at 2 quarterbacks. We go 2 wide receivers. One of them will be Raymond, and then we figure out the other one.
We go running back. We grab 2 wideouts.
Yeah.
I like McMillan too, but okay. So let's talk about Moss first. I'll make the bull case.
Yeah.
And then you can hit us with the FUD. The bull case is playing for the Bengals.
That's a big ball.
It's almost certainly a 1A, 1B between Moss and Chase Brown. I think we can comfortably say Chris Evans goes to 0, and I can't remember the third guy's name right now, but he goes to 0 too.
Travion, is he still around?
Yeah, Travion Williams. And then now there is some like rumor accounts, which I don't really take any sustenance from that, but rumor accounts are being like the Bengals want to add another running back, so that would be bad if they do like.
When P. Ryan gets cut, welcome to the Cincinnati Bengals.
That's like the chalk gal brain right now. Is that P. Ryan's going to land there and end it for everyone? Anyways, Bengals playoff schedule is Titans, Browns, and then the nut spot to me, Broncos week 17. Again, they could be terrible. They gave up 2 50-point games to Mostert and Achane. They did fix that after, but they were really bad. Could be really bad again. Could just be turning the ball over. And you
They're
could
not,
just
they're
see,
not a good football team. They have a horrible roster.
yeah, you could just see the Bengals running out the clock against the Titans, the Browns, and the Broncos week 17 to win all the money. Moss profiles to me as the goal line back. Just, I'm comfortable taking Moss and Chase Brown. I'm comfortable taking just Moss. I'm comfortable taking just Chase Brown. I'm okay leaving every single draft with one of Moss or Chase Brown. And you're not even paying for it with Moss.
No,
right?
you're not.
You're giving up. Who are you giving up? You're giving up Swift. You're giving up the other running backs who are all cheap as well. And so Moss versus Ramondre, like the Patriots have to be good for Ramondre to bury me. The Bengals just have to be the Bengals for Moss to produce. And
they have
Moss
to
also like
continue
good
to
with
give
shotgun
Zach Moss
runs. The Bengals
the
are going to
football.
do that. Yada yada. Zone scheme fits him. Not that old. Why do you hate Moss?
It's aggravating that he's priced as affordably as he is because it makes him harder to fade. Really, the case is just that I think he sucks.
And last thing I want to say, one positive news blurb, and he's going to go next to Rachaad White. Like that could be coming.
And I really hope that happens because then I don't even have to worry about it. That would be great.
No, that's bad for you because that means like people like me built strong wide receiver rooms, threw Moss in there. Maybe he's a good pick because the market's putting him up.
That's fine. I'll just bet against him being good so that the close, we got a lot of good closing line value last year. Sky Moore. It didn't matter.
That's round
9. This is the same with Madison. You know what? Your round 8 Alexander Madison was just as useless as your round 4.
I wouldn't draft Najee. I don't draft Najee on the Steelers. I would draft Najee on the Bengals though.
Yeah, I think with Zach Moss is one of those things where, he's the Mike Davis, but we're just smarter now, so we don't draft Mike Davis in the fourth anymore. Yeah, totally. So we don't draft Mike Davis in the 4th anymore. We draft him in the 8th, and it's a reasonable enough bet.
Mike Davis
I think people are overrating.
By the way, I think when we were doing that,
Zach Moss was born 28.
Moss is 26, I think. I'm gonna look it up.
I watched him on the Colts last year. I think people have cited his advanced efficiency stuff to be like, oh, maybe Zach Moss is good. It's like, okay, first of all, it's possible that he was descriptively good last year in a way that isn't predictive, right? We have a whole sample of Zach Moss being crappy that we don't have to throw out just because he happened to be good most recently. I also think most of that is just infrastructure. Shane Steichen is a fantastic run game schemer. Anthony Richardson, when he was there,
pause real quick.
Very brief time.
Okay. Do we want to Galbrain this pick and go with Jacob Cowling or Xavier Gibson? Or do we want to take... This is how I have it ranked.
Well, I don't want to do Cowling with Ayuk because I think Cowling is most valuable if Ayuk gets traded.
We don't got a lot of time to talk it out.
Gibson's fine. Let's do Gibson.
Gibson?
Yeah,
Gibson is just kind of betting against Malachi Corley. It's just in short.
I would do... So I do Cowling on teams with Debo, but I don't really draft Debo. But when I do draft Debo, I draft Cowling. I don't like Cowling as much with... Well, I've not drafted Cowling and Ayuk.
Yeah.
I'm fine with Cowling and Ayuk together on a non-Purdy team because then I don't need it to be correlated to Ayuk. Then I can get the correlation of what if Ayuk gets traded somewhere good is awesome, and then I also have Cowling. But if we're doing Purdy with Ayuk, that's a Purdy stays on the 49ers team, which makes Cowling undraftable. And for the record, I think Ayuk is 90% chance. Yeah, but that sucks. If you draft Purdy and Ayuk gets traded, you're not happy about that. You just lost half your stack.
Unless if he lands with Buffalo, I think you're happy. If he lands with the Steelers, you are not happy.
Well, if he lands with Buffalo, we didn't draft the greatest round 7 pick in the world with Keon Coleman.
Well, you can carry some. Whatever.
Fair enough.
Let's finish the Moss thing, and then we'll recap the team.
I just think he's not good, and it'd be one thing if he was the only running back.
Okay, but is Rachaad White good? Is Rachaad White good?
No, I don't draft him either. I don't draft Rachaad White.
I think Rachaad White's a defensible pick. I do select him sometimes.
I think there's a lot of picks that are defensible. I certainly would not say that Zach Moss is indefensible, but I think that I think running back, it's not like we've just made the adjustment to say Now we bet on talent at running back, and so Zach Moss and Rachaad White are priced down. Every running back is priced down. So I don't think
But
I
I
have to
think
take
Moss
a
is a
discount
legitimate
crappy
swing at
running
upside,
backs.
though.
I think I can. Situational upside, yes. Do I think that Zach Moss is going to be good enough to withhold, like to stand up against chaos over 17 weeks? Totally possible. There's just other bets I'd like to make. Like, I think
So do
Swift
you
is really
have
priced down. I
80%
think
Chase
the
Brown then?
Steelers are really priced down.
Do you
I
have
have like
80% Chase
20.
Brown, or are you being a coward?
No, I have 22% Chase Brown.
Okay.
But to me, it's not necessarily just that easy of a formula, because there's other running backs going with Moss that I legitimately love at cost. Like, I want to be massively exposed to Swift. I want to be massively exposed to Brooks. I want to be massively exposed to Warren. So I don't want to draft a player I don't like at the expense of those guys, who I think are also priced down in this environment. So I think, yes, you want to bet on Bengals running back, but I also want to bet on the Bears backfield. I want to bet on this on talent profiles and Brooks and Warren. Like, I don't think it's just,
The
that
ones
simple.
I'm giving up a
I think
little bit to get Moss
Connor is like
is
similar to Moss, but is actually good.
worse offense. But yeah, the ones I'm giving up a little
Yeah.
bit to get Moss is Ramondre. So I'm giving up a pretty bad team there, probably, who almost certainly going to be squeezed by Antonio Gibson. And I'm giving up Zamir White, who,
Yeah, I'm not
again,
trusting any Zamir White.
probably like, and Moss, like Zamir White is an athletic freak, right? Which, like, we do want that at running back. Like a lot of the
Yes.
top running backs are like Raz freaks, right? And so Zamir White is that, but could be squeezed by Dylan Lobby. And again, not
He's
the
an
best team.
athletic freak, but I'm going on the long view. Like, some of his stuff was pretty impressive last year, but I didn't like him at all as a prospect. Like, a lot of his advanced stuff in college were pretty poor. Has like almost no receiving upside. I mean, like you can say with any of these backs, if you want to just pitch any individual back in a vacuum and say, but isn't that price appropriate? I'm not going to say no. Like, I can't think of many running backs who I think are overpriced.
For me, it's not only that, but
guys.
it's being running back against the Denver Broncos week 17. I see as a contest winning upside spot. And like, I really try to go, like, when I'm thinking of like what can win these contests, I try to hammer those spots where I'm going to be wrong some years, right? I'm not like, that's why I had a lot of Carson and Rashad Penny, because I was like, not a good team. I want the running backs against them. Probably bad run defense. It worked that year. Last year, I did it with the Eagles backs because I was like, look, Cardinals bad defense. And I was right.
Oh,
but
my
the
God.
Eagles actually lost that game.
You have to realize you're talking to a guy that had Swift on his BBM finals team, and that is triggering. That is triggering contact right now.
Yeah, and that's like one of the spots going into the year. I was like, it was high upside, and it was a high upside spot,
Yeah.
Like,
until the game started, there were a few things I was more excited about than having DeAndre Swift against the Cardinals at low ownership in BBM finals. And then that game made me want to claw my eyeballs out of my skull. But that's in the past. It's in the past. And I'm drafting a bunch of Swift again. So look at that. Yeah, I should bring in Zach Moss a little bit. I'm probably being a bit too ideological on him. I think I drafted him for the first time this week. It's just, I don't know. I think some of those picks are just so good. Like, I'm so excited to gobble up all of the Jaylen Warren and Jonathan Brooks and DeAndre Swift that I possibly can, that every time I click Zach Moss just feels like I'm taking away an opportunity to draft one of the reasons I want to draft best ball teams. And that's my case for Zach Moss, is more just for other guys. It's the same as what I would talk about with Ferguson. Like, I don't know that Ferguson is like some like heinous pick in a vacuum. Like, if you just look at his projection versus cost, it's fine. Like, I understand the target's got to go somewhere. It's more just like, I want to draft other guys. I want to draft other profiles that I believe in. You only have 18 chances to draft people. I want to draft the guys I want to draft. I'm also getting, what do you love about Swift this year? And it's funny that I've been in on Swift now for 2 years in a row, because I've spent most of my fantasy industry life being pretty out on Swift as a talent. I think he's a spot, like, he's the one that I think is most similar to Rachaad White in the sense of, not necessarily stylistically, but in the sense of a guy who I don't think is a very talented running back holistically, but is specifically talented at fantasy friendly things. Like, he has explosive ability and he can pass catch, and he has the contract. So, if you want to do the Miles Sanders comparison, last year I was very, very out on Miles Sanders. And the reasons for that was, one, I don't think he's very good. Two, he's in a bad situation. Three, if he is good, I don't think he's good in ways that are fantasy friendly. Like, I don't think he is going to become some pass catcher overnight. I don't think that he's going to get a lot of goal line opportunities because he plays in the Panthers. With Swift, I think he plays an offense I want to bet on. I want to be in on the Bears. If he's good, he's going to be good in ways that are very fantasy friendly. It's going to be through pass catching. It's going to be with explosive rushing opportunities. And I think that the Bears will come to regret that contract in time, but it's going to take a while. I think they're going to give him legitimate run at the start of this year to prove themselves right. And I think that he hits on that. And so it's like, at what point in the lifespan of this contract do they go, like, he's actually not a very good runner in between the tackles? If you're a Swift bull, you hope never. You hope that they are knowing what they're getting and that they're not getting a reliable grinding back, and they're going to, play accordingly. Even if they somehow misevaluated him, I think it'll take them a while to realize that, and he still has opportunities to succeed.
I like Swift a lot, and it's just kind of like even more simple than that, where it's just like, I think the Bears are good. When I don't get pieces of their passing offense, I want to be betting that they're running in touchdowns. Taking Khalil Herbert and Rashawn Johnson is something I do, but it's just like a pure mystery box. I think you can get paid off in a lot of ways.
And I think Swift has like a weird thing for Rashawn Johnson that I've never fully understood.
Who has a weird thing for him?
Just the fantasy community at large has, like, I feel
he's
like
the biggest back. So
really loved Rashawn Johnson for, like, some reason that I don't fully understand.
He's a good pass blocker. Like, guys get on the field because of that. Like, Zeke's still in the league because he can blitz pick.
Sure.
With Swift, it's also like, I think he ran really bad last year as far as touchdowns, where the Eagles...
He also ran really bad last year, as in he ran not well.
But but like, on a non-Eagles offense, he probably scores 6 more touchdowns, and we would view him more as like Rachaad White level click. So I want to be above the guys who I think ran bad. Some feathers in the cap for Moss. Efficiency, which the lower the number, the better here. Zach Moss, 3rd overall after Achane and Kyron, according to Next Gen Stats.
So wait, why do we think that that efficiency,
it says rushing efficiency is calculated. Well, let me just read what their glossary says. Rushing efficiency is calculated by taking the total distance a player traveled on rushing plays as a ball carrier, according to Next Gen Stats, measured in yards per rushing yards gained. The lower the rate, or the lower the number, the more of a north-south runner, meaning that it's not necessarily like,
it's just a descriptive stat.
It's just
to me. That's more like a stylistic stat.
Well, it is descriptive for us, but it's like, this guy's literally getting yards. Like, he's not trying to hunt for home runs. He's not Ken Walkering it, who like probably rates badly in this.
I'm sure him and Swift have got to be the lowest too.
The bad was Ford, who Walker. Yeah, like
but
that.
I don't think that's bad. I think it's more just. I think it is more a comment on the scheme and on how the player plays. I don't know that it's like good or bad. I think it's like, Zach Moss is a north-south runner. That's what he does. I mean,
I think we could maybe say it correlates with fantasy points, because it's like you're getting what's given a lot. Rushing yards over attempt, it's also giving Moss 5th best in the NFL, which perhaps is a byproduct of O-line. Hard to say. Colts have a good O-line. So you came away, but obviously you're a Colts fan, for those who don't know, and you came away unimpressed by Moss, or what is it? Because like Jonathan Taylor doesn't rate well last year.
I think a lot of the Moss stuff is pretty fake. Like, he ran well early in the year with Richardson and had a couple of massive runs where he was like untouched. Like he had like a 60-yard touchdown against the Titans where everyone bit on the Richardson fake, and Moss just like rolled through the line and ran for 60 yards. Oh, I know I have about to have an ally in my anti-Zach Moss
Yeah, you're gonna have a
tirade
strong
right now.
ally.
But and I think that's like leading. If you watch over the back half of the year, Zach Moss was painful. Like it was
and
the Zach
something that
Moss
Moss
we've all
excels at,
known
by
and
the way.
loved of like, oh, Zach Moss broke a tackle to get tackled 2 inches later. That was the Zach Moss we got for the second half of the year.
If you had to guess Moss's best trait, what do you think it is?
It's tackle breaking.
It's blitz pickup.
Okay, well, sure. I mean, I buy that. I thought you meant as a runner.
Like teams really care about that, especially when your quarterback's Joe Burrow, who's been injured.
Certainly they do.
Like that's why he was playing over Singletary at times in Buffalo, is because he would keep Josh Allen clean. That.
I recall that. Like again, I'd go back to it. Like I don't.
Good running backs don't pass block; they catch passes.
I draft Zeke, brother, and he's gonna be doing both.
I also draft Zeke this year uncomfortably, but again, look, Zeke is just Zach Moss 3 rounds later.
That's a really good point, actually. Jacob.
I mean, maybe, but I don't think he has the juice that Moss has. Like, I think that's
what juice does Zach Moss have?
Yeah, exactly, but it's more than Zeke. Like
I don't know about that. Like I'm gonna do the like I think you should leave. Like, are you sure about that? Like,
yeah. and then
they are equally unjuiced.
And then Zeke plays the Eagles week 17. And do you see the Eagles or do you see the Cowboys establishing the run against the Eagles with their really bad O-line? By the way, the Bengals O-line good. Like Moss playing the Broncos and Zeke playing the Eagles is enough of a different story to me right there.
Fair enough, but it's going to come down to touchdowns. I mean, the over/under in the Eagles-Cowboys game is probably going to be like 51.5. I think you're going to log into the Sims that morning, and I think that Zeke is going to look pretty darn good. Also, I love Barry is just keeping track perfectly of the correlation on our teams. I'm sorry, Barry. I did forget that we had Xavier Legette. If Davis Maddock was with us on that draft and we were using the star method, never would have gotten past me.
We don't do that, and I'm trying to help Davis as a new streamer to get that.
I had to do the star method for literally the first draft ever on the stream so that people could see it. And by the way, people got an explanatory variable for why it's so good. We got a correlated player when Rich and I couldn't agree on who to take. Literally perfect.
Sounds like you are a bad streamer and you're not able to make your picks in time. Where like I'll just cut a person off and be like, "We're gonna pause you there. Who's our pick?" You got to assert yourself.
Well, here's the deal. People, I was reading the comments on the YouTube video this morning. People, Liam, the people were in your camp. They were like, Davis fucking invited Liam on and then just took whoever the hell he wanted.
Dude, literally every pick, I was like, why don't we do this guy? And every pick, you're like, no. And I'm like, what am I doing here?
So I do need to work on my compromise game. No one tell my wife.
All right. Well, I should get out of here so you guys can do another one. I might hop in the lobby and draft against you guys silently though here.
Jacob, you're welcome to join for this trio if you want. If you got to go though, enjoy your vacation.
I think I've got to see some level of sunshine because I was already on stream with Ben for 2.5 hours this morning.
Go for a walk.
Now I'm with you for over an hour. I got to go get some sunshine. But what sunshine means at this time of year is it means drafting a Best Ball Mania team as I walk. So these things are not mutually exclusive.
Both you guys are invited. I'm streaming tomorrow at 10:30 Central, so 8:30 a.m. your time, Jacob. You're invited to come on if you want. If not, I'm just going to draft solo.
I'm only coming on, and if I'm going to Stone Cold Steve Austin some Budweisers and just like get raucously drunk.
I'm going to be honest with you. I will consider it. I am flying out to Calgary to the Stampede tonight. The chance that I am able to be awake at 8:30 a.m.
What are the chances you make it to Calgary and you're not in Ottawa or something?
That's
Jacob. 2 things before you go.
50,
please
50.
rip the vape and blow a cloud for the stream. Oh, yeah. Like as much as you can. Just
look at it. Look at him. Look at this dude who's on vacation.
Oh, look at that cloud. That's sick. If you edit videos, cut that up for me, please. And secondly, Jacob, America 2-0, baby. 2-0 over Canada in
2-0
World
with what?
Cup, sir. in World Wars,
you
anything,
guys got
baby.
knocked out of the Copa America.
Everyone get them.
Canada in its first ever appearance is playing Venezuela. Do you guys have a match against Venezuela on Friday, or is that the Great White North?
Can't hear you, Jacob.
So bad.
Can't hear you over all the patriotic. Look at them.
Oh
They're
my
rolling in the chat.
You guys are currently like. There's never been a worse time for American patriotism.
Oh, Jacob,
you guys got
you're cutting up. You're cutting up, brother. Oh, can't hear you. Tough.
Preliminary
news.
ejection from Copa and Biden versus Trump. It's over for you guys. I'm
The
sorry.
the Copa America losing to Panama on the same night that the debates happened. It was an all-time low moment for my American
It was the lowest
patriotism.
moment for America. It was tough.
Yeah. All right, we're jumping in this bad boy. I'm grabbing a beer. Jacob, if you're leaving by it, I gotta jump in here.
Location error detected.
I don't know why I always have to do like. You cannot enter on your desktop like 50% of the time. You have to enter on your phone.
I recently realized that I had to switch browsers to be able to do streaming because I use Brave.
It's probably my fault.
I use Brave browser, and you can't log on Underdog on the Brave browser.
Wow. All right, I'm taking off, but I am in this draft, so I will be beating the shit out of you guys in about 5 minutes silently as I stroll around Stanley Park.
Oh,
Be well.
1-4.
Happy 4th of July. Oh, you guys are right in front of me. I'm at 1-5. That's hilarious. All right. Well, good luck. I won't be stream sniping, so don't worry. But
you could.
Please don't take everyone that I want. God bless you.
I'll try not to. We probably won't take Zach Moss.
You might. I don't know. It depends on who's manning the controls. All right. See you, Davis.
Later. Liam leaving me in charge. I hope he's got his phone with him while he's getting the Bud Lights. I mean, I'm just gonna let Liam take Jamar Chase here. I'm not gonna fight him on it. I mean, obviously, you guys know I would be taking Justin Jefferson. I find it pretty interesting that he's got Chase ranked above Tyreek. I thought he was a true spike week, bro, but I guess not.
That just has to do with age concerns, and the Bengals get to play the Broncos week 17, and Miami has to play Cleveland week 17.
Bro, aren't you worried? Aren't you worried about Patrick Surtain?
I do my rankings as if someone purchases my rankings and only does like 3 drafts. And if I only did 3 drafts, I would prefer Chase over Tyreek. If I volume drafted though, I'm going to mix in Tyreek, and I do.
That's such an interesting perspective. Like, by my rankings, draft 3 teams. That is a very interesting perspective.
Because there are some people who do that, right? Like there are some people who I can't assume that everyone who signs up for my site is going to 150 max. That's just not true, you know? So like I want to make my rankings so
we get a gift. We get Tyreek at 4. Obviously, Jacob snaps Justin Jefferson at 5 because he plays good. He likes to take good players.
By the way, guys, Davis, newest streamer in the streets. If you haven't checked it out, launched his YouTube here. Reached 1,000 subs. I hung out there. I did 2 streams with him yesterday. I will be taking a little bit more feedback than he. Maybe he can learn that from me. But Davis, I
need to. People were. I was reading the comments this morning, and they were like, "Do you just fucking take whoever you want?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Those are all my burner accounts. I was like, I know how to get Davis. Talk to us about the launch, Davis, and any other things you learned.
Honestly, I was pretty fucking tired by the end of it. I was like, that is a long time to be on. I was gonna be done.
This dude owes you money, Davis.
Tell him to subscribe to patreon.com/DavisMattic, and he can get all the rankings and shit there instead. What was I about to say?
Things you learned about the stream. I think you said streaming by yourself is hard.
It is hard. It's much harder than I thought it was going to be.
I thought you did really well with it. I listened to you a bit. Like I left and did a walk, and then I jumped in, and you were by yourself. And yeah, you just like interact with the chat. I was a teacher, right? So like that's how I got my and I was a really bad public speaker before I was a teacher, and so like my first lessons were bad, but
Sure.
like when you get thrown to the wolves, you adjust quickly, because like there's nothing quite like looking out into like a group of second graders and you're like, fuck, they're
You're
all
like,
bored.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, like they don't care,
I mean, I'm a really good public speaker, so that's like not
I think you are. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that's one of my skill sets, but it's more just like, man, I'm gonna be on the clock for the next 90 minutes, and I got to just make all these picks interesting, and I also am just like, I'm got all this shit up on my computer. I got Slack up, I got Discord up, I got my text messages coming in, like I'm used to when I'm on a stream, it's like, oh, I can respond to a text message or whatever. That's a good comment. $25 in 2015 money is like half a career.
What if Davis would have won BBM 3 or something if he had that extra 25 and you took that from him? Butterfly effect.
What if?
Yeah, the second graders, yes. No, I mean, it's not the easiest thing in the world by yourself. I've been doing a lot of solo streams this year compared to guest streams. Just easier to do one and jump out.
Yes.
Going for like a long time is a bit harder by yourself, but that's why we appreciate the chat, each and every one of you. By the way, guys, I'm on the road to 5K. I'm close there. Davis, is this some time to get Olave?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, Adams or Olave. I think they're both good.
Olave's not my favorite player, but I think he ran pretty bad in the touchdown department. And if we can just get those touchdowns,
sure ran bad in the touchdown.
Yeah,
department.
and so like if he can just get to like 8 touchdowns, that's a bonus. Quite like that he plays the Raiders week 17 in the Dome. Like that seems like that could be a team he
Dome week
scores well
17.
on.
So the reason obviously why I don't love taking Adams is because I don't know which quarterback to pair him with. So
my vote's Aiden O'Connell, but the Gardner Minshew is the betting favorite to start.
But neither of those guys are going to matter for fantasy, like 0% to matter for fantasy. So if I don't,
but Geno Smith wasn't meant to either, man, and they do sometimes.
But when you take Tyreek, you already know who you're taking at quarterback. So the fact that you don't know which guy to take with Adams doesn't matter. You see what I'm saying?
That's fair. Yeah, I just don't draft as much Adams because, like, I do mix him in, because it's a super flat tier. All these wide receivers, is just like take 2 and hope you land the right 2. But he's old, and like Brock Bowers could be a little bit more target dominant. Jacoby,
yeah,
it's not
I'm trying to build up some Bowers bags. So this is buttery. I mean, HA or Kyron, I don't care.
We're going Metcalf.
Why are we, bro?
Just to give you some taste of your own medicine yesterday. Strictly because of that.
You're drafting a suboptimal team just to stick it to me?
No, I don't. Like, I will pair HA with Tyreek, but I think that's being overdone by the field.
Oh my God, dude. If this guy at 3-11 gets Kyron.
What are you talking about? Like, they get Kyron all the time,
Kyron,
I love Kyron.
I've not seen Kyron go at 3-11. I've seen him go to the Bijan drafter at 3-9.
I've seen Kyron go 3-4 turn. Not as much as of late, but it happens. And it's just not my preferred thing to make expensive bets on the same offense. So I do it occasionally. I do CMC and Ayuk. I do CMC and Debo. But all else equal, I would just prefer to have them with literally any other first round player, at similar ADP. And when we bet on Tyreek, like, Tyreek's the guy who's winning us the contest. He is scoring 2 touchdowns. But, I think it's fine to mix in HN with him. But I think it's being overdone compared to like an optimal rate. Like, don't you think Tyreek and HN gets paired with?
Yes, I would totally buy that the 1-3, 1-4, 1-2, whatever Tyreek drafter is taking A-Chain or Waddle with them way more than it is ever optimal.
Yes, it's just like oh, this is easy. I'm just betting on one team. I don't have to think about it.
Yes.
It's kind of fun that way, but it's being overdone in my opinion compared to what is correct to do. Not that I have like any true mathematical idea, but you get my point there. It's not like a logical stretch. So you're going to be streaming on 4th of July, brother?
Yeah, my wife is a speech language pathologist, and she works at a skilled nursing facility, so she works holidays anyway. Like, old people in old folks' home don't go home for the holidays, so I'm gonna have to entertain myself in the morning anyway. So I figured I might as well knock out, my feeding the algorithm a little bit.
You're not going to bring a 12-pack to the old folks' home and bring the energy?
Energy will not be brought. Maybe I'll sleep in. Maybe I'll skip going to the gym tomorrow and sleep in. But yeah, we're gonna stream. We're gonna see if anyone joins me. If not,
don't you have to do like a Murph? Like do one of those like. So I mean, like Hurts is just kind of a gift here. I know.
Like Hurts. I like either of the running backs. If you want to take Kincaid, I mean, Kincaid without Allen feels worse, but
Kincaid. Ideally, we get pick 52 because he will fall to the 5th on occasion. I keep on taking ETN, but it is hard because I do want Pacheco too. Really like Pacheco's matchup against the Steelers week 17. Just kind of feels like a game where they could be putting it away pretty late. I don't think Davis even drinks, by the way, guys. So yeah.
I don't. So America Day, it's mostly about the burgers and the brats for your boy.
Ben Haskell saying he got Kyron at 311. By the way,
I mean that's nuts.
I have to know if that's a BBM or puppy because it doesn't count in a puppy. Like the puppy is just like the same people all being like, how late can we wait to draft any position but wide receiver? Like let's just make the whole board orange.
Yeah, that is so true. Yeah, look, we've got another 4-5 turn Lamar Andrews drafter making money.
Oh wow, what a gift, Kincaid.
What a gift. Yeah, gift.
It is, man. Like this is young Travis Kelce. Why can't you see that? Is it because he's young Travis Kelce is why you particularly don't want to see it?
Travis Kelce, very different style of prospect. Kincaid was a 5-year
Are
player.
They're just kind of like run down the field, box out the corner, grab the ball, keep going. Engine of the offense.
Liam, do you think that the Bills' best outcome is Dalton Kincaid leading them in targets? You think that's the most optimal way for them to score points?
Yes. Yeah, I think arguably yes. Like, unless Keon Coleman is like so good, then yeah. I mean, I like Kincaid a little bit more on PPR and tight end premium sites, just because we're not 100% sure the passing touchdowns will be there, but I think easily around 1,000 yards seems like a reasonable upside projection. And yeah, so just run hot in touchdowns, like fall in the end zone a bunch of times. Laporta didn't have such a better year than people. He scored 10 touchdowns. Like that is why Laporta is valued as the tight end 1 in the market.
Definitely true. Yeah. Yeah. He ran. I mean, and maybe he's a touchdown scorer though. Maybe that's Laporta's thing. Maybe he will just be a 10 touchdown guy. I mean, I would say Travis Kelce showed a lot more in his first season playing professional football. That's not fair.
True. I think Travis Kelce
it's not. Well, he did get redshirted, but he was not as good.
Kincaid just had one of the best rookie tight end seasons of all time. It just was worse than Laporta's.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's totally fair.
Let's see. Travis Kelce, 2013, did not play at all. So hard to be good when you record a 0. But then 860 yards in 5, his second year. Again, a little feather in Kincaid's cap is
So if we're calling him a young Travis Kelce, it means he's not going to be good until he's 27. Is that sort of the
Travis Kelce, 862 yards and 5 touchdowns, and this was what? Was Alex Smith still there? Or,
yeah.
I think it was someone else in 2014, wasn't it?
2015, no, it was Alex Smith both years, I think. Yeah, it was. That was
he
when
really
Jamal
wasn't
Charles
that good
was
until
on the team.
2017.
Yeah.
Like, he had the yards in 2016, but not the touchdowns. Seems kind of fluky.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of funny that all that stuff sort of runs together a little bit. I mean, my situation. Like, I just think Mark Andrews and Kyle Pitts are better picks.
I think it's you feel a little insecure about Buffalo being so close to the Chiefs as like
this is like the guy.
contenders.
This is like the guy who said the reason that I am taking Jefferson over Chase is because I hate the Bengals.
Yeah, well, there is a little subconscious like that happening.
That's a little true. That's a little true.
Where you're like, I don't want the Bills to be that good, you know?
To me, the best case scenario for the Bills is Keon Coleman leads them in targets, because that means Keon Coleman is good, and that means they have a real alpha wide receiver one when they were not expecting to have one.
I think all else equal, you would prefer Kincaid as the better football player, because when you have an impact tight end, it is just a cheat code.
The one you do not want to lead the team in targets is Curtis Samuel. If Curtis Samuel is leading the team in targets,
he's fun. I do think he's fun. Rashad White, not bad. He's regularly here though.
I think we take another wide receiver.
Do you like Rome?
I like Rome. I like all three of those guys.
Let's do Rome to pair with Metcalf.
Sure.
Pretty rare for Rome to be here. Rashad White to me is a high floor running back. Not, whereas like compared to James Cook, I think James Cook offers a higher ceiling but a lower floor. So they're different things. And when you select high floor running backs, I think you can inherently go less running backs and just be like, I filled in RB2 forever, which has value in itself.
I'm a Ken Walker over Rashad White guy, so I don't get very much Rashad White.
Walker, definitely higher individual week ceiling, but I mean, we have to assume Charbonnet in his second year gets a bigger role, where like I don't think Bucky Irving's quite the same threat, got less draft capital, not athletic. And I mean, I was shocked when I looked this up, but Charbonnet straight up had more yards per carry than Walker last year. I think we have to take Keon Coleman unless you want to go running back.
I would. It's pretty. I think we probably need a running back, but it's pretty close. Like, this is the last guy of a tier at wide receiver. He's the Bateman Burks from last year. Keon Coleman
is way better than Bateman. Give me a break.
No, I'm saying, but the wide receiver 47, 48 was like, last of a tier last year at wide receiver. And
no, yes, but I think the bet's better because Bateman played for a non-pat. I don't think we can just assume the Bills are going to be run heavy again, just because Joe Brady did that like late in the year. And he was 5% less pass happy than Ken Dorsey. Do we care about 5% that much? I don't know.
It stylistically felt like way more, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I do. But I think that was also like the Bills are smart and they viewed the Cowboys, right? And it's like, how do we beat the Cowboys? Oh, I know. Let's just run the football because they have like good pass rushers, good corners, but not too good at on the D line at stopping the run. So it's like, are we going to fault a team for being logical? I don't know. No, to me. Kincaid will go in the 7th round. I mean, he'd have to have a stat line of like.
He'd have to have the weirdest year ever. He either he's going higher or he's going where Dalton Schultz goes. Like he's like the tight end 14 or something.
Yeah,
for him to go in this, to go where
I really wish
we
got the combine numbers on him, because it would be nice to know if he's like, is he Dalton Schultz level athleticism or is he closer to, I don't like Just a little, like, is he closer to like an 8.0 RAS versus a 6.0?
I mean, the watching him play, what do you think?
Probably like a 7 point, like no worse than TJ Hawkinson. So let's pull up him.
That feels more correct to me. Yeah.
Who turned in a 9.18. But like, by the way, modern day RAS numbers are kind of weird because a lot of NFL prospects are coached, in my opinion, to not run the agilities anymore because a lot of them just don't perform well at it. And so when you add agility numbers to some RAS scores, it like really tanks some guys. Like it will take a guy from like a 9.0 to a 6.2. Which it's like, oh, should we be weighting it that hard?
I mean, I
RAS
mostly just consider 40 like with the weight as the denominator, like how fast are you at how big you are, and like the vert, like the explosive stuff. Like I don't do I care about short shuttle for a tight end that much. I care
think you
about
should
short
care.
shuttle for the running backs.
40 yards, nice to know, but you care way more about 10-yard split. 3 cone drill also. I don't take Zamir, but this is a clear time to do it. Correlates with Olave as well.
I don't really take him either, but I'm kind of starting to be interested in him. Like the further the offseason goes and the less we're getting like no one cares, like no one's being like, oh, Alexander Madison, you know.
This
like
is why you take Zamir White.
Yeah, crazy RAS.
You know, like this is why you take him.
Yeah.
You just hope that the team is closer to like a 7-8 win team. They don't have that hard of a playoff schedule. Maybe that Las Vegas Saints game can just be a little bit more frisky than people think, kind of like the Seahawks Lions game was for me, you know?
Could definitely be one of the games where no one cares, you know, like
where it's like oh, okay, Derek Carr, whatever, brother.
Spencer Rattler, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the other reason you draft Zamir White is you just kind of take Antonio Pierce at face value. Another thing I wrote about is that in my running back article where I broke down all the running backs from like round 8 and after, I said it's quite possible that this is like a one and done year with Antonio Pierce, where it's just like a disaster for them.
It's almost certainly gonna like what.
And if that's the case, Antonio Pierce is gonna go out his style. He's gonna go out like we're running the effing football. We're getting our 6th win of the season. You know, like he's not gonna be like, okay, this is my 1 year. Go ahead, Aiden O'Connell. He's gonna be like, F you, dude. Zamir White, run that ball. You know. So do you want to reach on Goddard here to secure the stack, or is Tony Pollard?
We are that would be bad. I think, wouldn't it? That's almost for sure bad.
I don't think it's bad. You're reaching you're not reaching that significantly.
You're
it's
reaching,
not like
and we already have a tight end.
Yeah, so you take 2, you're done. I don't know. Like to me, Tony Pollard's nice, but he's not a guy where I'm like, what am I doing taking a stacked guy over Tony Pollard? You know, the Titans could be bad as well.
I do like Tony Pollard.
I like the Titans pieces. I mixed them in. Will Levis was pretty bad last year, especially when he was like forced to move.
Will Levis was terrible. He had 4 touchdowns in that first game against the Falcons, and then the rest of the way he had 4 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. It was brutal. And
Jacob was just on like lost his shit after that first game, and I was like, bro, we are not like we had like who was our quarterback? Our quarterback was Lamar, and he's like, we need to bid $50 to get Levis. And I said, this will be Will Levis's best NFL game this year. Like, and they went straight back to 0. Goddard just kind of sucks. I was 100% out on Goddard last year when other people were like taking him in the 7th round. I think in the 9th and 10th round, it's a different question. Like you're giving up running backs, and it's our only option to stack with Hurts. Like literally no one else to take him with other than Will Shipley. And so I don't think it's like crazy to take Goddard, be done at tight end. If something happens to Smith or AJ Brown, that opens up the possibility for like 10 touchdowns. So you can do worse than Goddard. at tight end.
I mean, I think you're right. Like, I think Goddard is sort of fine.
Kellen Moore always supported tight ends too, but like that's not
we just draft capital wise, we needed running back 2 points more than we needed I mean, if you have Jalen Hurts, what kind of correlated boost? Like what is more likely to be in the winning lineup? Dallas Goddard and Jalen Hurts, or just Jalen Hurts naked? Like I would argue that Jalen Hurts naked actually is much more likely to make it than a Hurts Goddard.
Well, you just hope that you don't really even need Goddard, but like if Kincaid doesn't score well, Goddard at least gives you 10. And so like it's not really the reason you're winning, but you're not getting, the tight end one scores 15, you're only giving up 5 points. And the real question is like, okay, if we get Goddard, awesome here. Come on, Jacob, be a friend. We don't. Scrod takes him. But the real question is like, how bad is going Goddard plus Trey Benson versus Tony Pollard and Benson?
It's not that bad. Yeah.
It's no different at all. It's like, okay, we're taking a different ambiguous running back.
And now the chat is going to be like, you got naked Hurts, you're an idiot. You drafted the worst team ever. You have no correlation, straight to jail.
Well, Hurts is like one of the few quarterbacks I'm 100% okay having naked.
I'm good with Allen, Lamar, and Hurts all naked.
I think Allen is bad just because of how cheap his options are.
Yeah, Samuel and Shakir are so cheap.
They're too cheap where it's like overwhelmingly likely you're going to want someone.
Yeah.
And even Keon Coleman now, right? Like Keon Coleman will occasionally be there at the back end of the 7th. Like you're really not giving up that much to get him. Lamar even, like if you're going to roll with Lamar naked, okay, I think that's fine. But you better hope Bateman, Nelson Aguilar, and Devontae Walker are not good, or zeros. Because they're free too. Like last year, we had to pay 10th, 11th, and 12th round costs, if not a little bit higher, to roll the dice on the Bateman, Odell, and Flowers thing. This year, we pay for Flowers and Andrews, but the other guys are literally free to undrafted, So
Bateman's not free anymore.
But who isn't?
Bateman is not.
He's the one. I have one Bateman share.
Yeah, I think I took him yesterday on Lamar. I think we took him together, maybe, or I did with someone. But it's like, the idea of taking an uncorrelated Bateman, I would literally never. It's crazy, like looking at drafts this year, the running backs you can get in the 10th, 11th round. I mean, it's nuts to be able to get a guy
real quick and then circle back on that. Do you prefer Gus or do you want to break a little bit of correlation edge there?
I don't care. I think they're both good.
Well, Zeke is really just because he plays the Eagles. Let's go Gus Bus.
Yeah,
because we can get
Zeke is going to be dead by week 17.
No, I agree with you. Like, right, like, and that's why it's quite possible the Nuts is like a balanced team this year, where like some people are way too rigid. Where like if you draft running backs early, they're like, you're just donating. You can't draft 2 running backs. You can't draft 3 running backs. But it's quite possible you could mix in 2 running backs, end up with like Deontay Johnson, Brian Thomas Jr. as your wide receiver 2 and 3, hit a bunch of guys late, stop at 4 running backs because you go too early, and that be maybe even optimal, and then like chalk optimal for wide receiver drafters would be you hit 5 wide receivers, maybe even 6, and then you go from the DeAndre Swift range of like Swift, Warren, Moss, not like you just draft 5 running backs from there on out, and you're getting legitimate starters on teams, and you stop at 5.
You're getting legitimate starters like into the 11th round. I mean, maybe the 12th round. Like maybe you get what if Nick Chubb what happens to Jerome Ford's ADP if Nick Chubb is placed on the IR? Not like they're like we just don't think he's going to be able to play this year.
Ford's getting more expensive on Underdog, where I used to be able to get him in the 140s, the 130s.
Yeah,
he's now climbing. The real free ones are the Eagles guys. Just like Zeke and Dowdle, and like I'm comfortable rolling the dice on both.
Which is absolutely nuts, because if Jonathan Brooks got drafted by the Cowboys, he'd be a 3rd-round pick.
There's so many cases like that. There's so many like if Xavier Worthy was not a Chief, where would he go? If he
right. No. But that makes it insane that you can get as much Rico Dowdle or Zeke. You could take Rico Dowdle or Zeke or one of them in every draft.
See, like Rico Dowdle is the classic don't get bored guy, where to me, I keep on taking him in the 130s to 140s, and I'm like, oh, what if it's Zeke? But I'm like, just don't get bored, man, because you wait a month, we're gonna get one blurb where it's like
Zeke
Rico
looks
Dowdle,
good.
Rico Dowdle looking good with the ones. Boom. Kiss the 12th round goodbye. Kiss it goodbye. Like that's a tenet of being a sharp drafter right now is don't be like, oh, I've taken Rico a lot. Let's just take Tyler Algier now, or whatever. Or let's just stop taking him. I'm just gonna go down with that ship because it's overwhelmingly unlikely the Cowboys bring in a dude. It's quite likely Zeke breaks down, so even though I do draft a lot of Zeke too, and I do prefer Zeke over Dowdle just because, he wasn't particularly good last year, but he was fine for fantasy, right?
In week 6, I probably prefer Zeke to Dowdle, but week 11 to 17, I think I'm Dowdle.
I think we're clearly going to take Tua here.
Yeah.
Feel really good about our running back room for not taking any until pick 93.
That's why it's just crazy. It's crazy.
And for a guy like Zamir White, who I don't fuck you, Jacob. Oh, you have Waddle? Okay. And Achane. Fine.
Damn.
Fine, Jacob. Fine, brother.
Damn, he did us dirty, dude.
Let's take Jalen Wright. Unless you would rather go Jermaine Burton first.
I would probably take Jermaine Burton first, but I'm a guest here.
Let's do Burton.
Man, Burton, bro. If he's as good as the people who think he's good thinks, like all all those quotes that were coming out before the draft, like, oh, if Jermaine Burton wasn't such a dick, he'd be a 1st-round pick. I'm like, well, that could be good or that could be really bad because NFL coaches don't like to play guys who are dickheads.
Dude, how rude. You come on my stream here, you just rip Clouds the whole day, and then you jump in the draft right next to us. He DM'd Underdog to make that happen. And then he was like, Tua right here. And Jacob, you know what? USA. The only downside of Burton is it's really not that impossible that Charlie Jones and or Andre Asovius are a thing, and or straight up ahead of him, right?
Or they have like 9 tight ends on the roster, so maybe they play 9 of them.
I don't think that's that likely. Like one tight end will be fine, but I think like a disaster for Burton is if they're like, you know what, Charlie Jones is pretty good as a slot. We're gonna play Chase Higgins outside and Jones in the slot. Goodbye, Burton. Or if they're like, you know what, Andre Asovius is really fast. We want him as a burner. We're going to play him over Burton. A feather in Burton's cap is he apparently fell due to character concerns. I don't know what those are, but that inherently means he's probably a more talented player than the 3rd-round draft capital warranted. And so
that's actually insane for a 3rd-round guy to be fouled because of character concerns, because that must mean,
like, is he a 2nd round or is he a 1st-round talent?
That's what like people were saying. Like there was like multiple scouts and anonymous sources basically being like this guy, and he was at Georgia and then he was at Bama. Does not get more
feels quite good to get Jalen Wright here, where we're doing the Tyreek and Achane thing, but we're doing it at a
super cheap
13th round cost.
Yeah.
And funny enough, even though it's way cheaper, I think it will be a less chalky pairing than Tyreek and Achane. Isn't that crazy?
Definitely. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy though? But like you're investing a 1st and a 13th versus a 1st and a 2nd and or 3rd, and you're getting a less chalk combo for similar upside, right?
Chad is saying that Jermaine Burton assaulted a woman on camera when Tennessee beat Alabama and rushed the field. I mean,
Okay, that's
seems
a
bad.
negative.
Seems bad.
He punched that woman while walking up. Okay, I've not seen it. That sounds bad. If I'm being liberal to his side, I would say that I'm sure if someone rushes the field and I mean, I don't know. You should never ever hit a woman. I don't know if he did it on purpose or if it was someone was coming for him. Rusty's defending that. No, that's not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying. Anyways, next topic. I like Jermaine Burton as an upside fantasy pick.
What's our backup plan here at quarterback?
You just take one of the rookies. You roll the dice.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, it's Troy Franklin, Bo Nix. Come on down.
Yeah. I don't care about when you take Hurts. I literally don't care who I land as QB2. I don't even care if they're stacked. I think our number one option is to get Metcalf. Our number two option is to get Derek Carr. And other than that, we just roll the dice.
Not
I mean, I agree.
What's
right?
the crowd rushing the field? I mean, here's the thing. I don't obviously Jermaine Burton might be a dickhead or whatever, maybe a bad guy.
Joe Mixon pointing a gun at a woman in traffic.
Joe Mixon committed a
before
crime.
A playoff game.
Yeah, before a playoff game.
And then he supplied a gun to his brother-in-law to shoot at kids who were playing with Nerf guns across from him. Actively seems like he's a bad guy. They didn't really care about that.
Yeah, I mean, the only point I'm making is Jermaine Burton might be the worst dude alive, but is he gonna is that limit? Is that why he wasn't drafted? I don't know. Because no team is gonna say it.
It seems like a part of it, and the Bengals seem like a team that doesn't care about character. Where
that for sure. Yeah, for sure.
The Bills are the counter of that, where it's they do care about character a little bit. And, there's two sides to that coin. Some would say, F your character, give me the talented football players. Others would say, if you have a bunch of idiots on your team.
Oh my God, Demarcus Robinson just went 158. My God, dude.
Dude, Davis, before I knew you, I only saw your profile picture was your golfing one at the time.
Yeah.
And from that, you look like you're a good golfer for someone.
I can play a little bit better than bogey golf. I'm like a 15-ish, but I don't hit driver. That should be the title. That should be the title of the stream.
At ADP 115, Burton can go to jail. At 12th round, he can suit up for me. Wow, Ray Davis is a steal here. We're taking him.
Do we need another? Yeah, we do need another running back. We do.
I think like Gibson correlates, but
no,
I feel confident that Davis is an upside swing. That I want to be taking that where he's really not even though his ADP is there, he's not as available there as often. And I'm someone who drafts cross-platform, so on a lot of sites, and I can tell you other sites do have Davis ranked around ahead of Wright, where on Underdog, it's Wright around ahead of Davis.
I like Ray Davis more on Underdog than on DK or Drafters, though. Much more.
I don't know about that because I think back to the Latavius Murray dump-offs. Didn't
Latavius Murray have 6 catches in one of those games?
Yeah, he got a lot of targets, where it's just if teams are just going to play cover 2 and Ray Davis is getting a leak out route and he can actually do something with them. Is Latavius gone? Yeah, Latavius is out of there. Ty Johnson's still there. So the real question for Ray Davis is Ty Johnson going to have the goal line role? But I mean, Ty Johnson, career carries, his best year, I think, is 60 carries. So I think we can bet against that pretty confidently. 30 carries last year. His best year carrying the football was his rookie year, 2019, 63 carries. Like that's about as much of a zero as there can be. So
Did you know
I think it's a
Latavius
good
is
time to
currently?
get a second tight end. And I like Sanat as an upside swing. I also like Conklin.
I like
if we wanna
leaving second tight end for us to figure out quarterback, but I don't care. I like Sinnott. I like Conklin. They're both fine. I usually don't really
take
like Conklin. I think likely is
taking
kind of
Conklin, you
good.
kinda hope you get Rodgers.
Sure.
Let's go Sanat because they doesn't have the same bye. And I think Sanat is an example of market boredom pushing him down. Where, okay, we're not getting any reports. It's a stale time of the year, but we still know he's a highly drafted athletic freak on, it's frankly anyone's guess who the second target will be on the Commanders pace-up team. And we still have options.
Isn't it just Luke McCaffrey?
According to my exposures, it is because I have very little Jahan Dotson, but a lot of Luke McCaffrey. Because one of the things I like about Luke McCaffrey is, like, who could you even say is going to make him not be the wide receiver 3? Olamide Zaccheaus, Jamison Crowder,
It would be.
Brown?
I was thinking about it. And I was like, yeah, it would be Crowder. It would be Crowder, like turning the clock way back.
It would be Crowder, who's like probably 32, right? Like, okay, he's 30. He's 31.
I don't even remember the last time Crowder was relevant. Really, he was a Bill last year, wasn't he?
When he was a Bill 2 years ago, people were drafting him. I really wasn't too much.
Jamison Crowder scored a touchdown last year. Amazing.
You learn something every day.
Can you think of a guy who has been fantasy relevant without ever having had meaningful fantasy numbers more than Jamison Crowder? Like, how many times have I played
Jamison Crowder had some good years.
Jamison Crowder's best year, 78, 833, and 6 for the Jets in 2019.
He had a 67, 847, and 7 with the Commanders, so a little bit better.
Who was the court? Was that a Cousins team? Yeah, that was it. That was Cousins, Pierre Garcon, Deshaun Jackson, Jamison Crowder, Jordan Reed, Vernon Davis, and Chris Thompson. Oh man, did I love
got hurt with Buffalo. The other thing I like about Ben Sinnott is I'm not worried about Zach Ertz. Like, if the market's afraid of Zach Ertz, that feels like a great time.
The call is coming from inside me.
Well, that feels like a great time to be like, okay, I'll just fade Zach Ertz. Like, okay, if how old is Zach Ertz? If 33-year-old Zach Ertz, who turns 34 this year, beats me, go with God, I don't like him, but I think Deshaun Watson is just clearly the selection here.
Uncorrelated Watson?
Correlates with Tyreek?
No,
correlates with Jalen Wright?
We do not. Like, sure, he's the best value pick, but we would rather have anything correlated.
Yeah, we can correlate it. We can take a
Cedric Tillman.
Yeah. I just think it's like, look, I don't like him. Like the same thing with Zamir White. I don't like Zamir White at cost, but I'm going to take him when he falls a half round because it's unique and it correlated with.
No, I agree. I 100% agree.
And then with Deshaun Watson, it's okay. The alternative was Derek Carr, who both of them have the same downside of getting benched, right? Like Carr could be benched for Rattler. Watson could be injured, benched for Jameis. Same thing. 30 picks past ADP correlates with the Miami stack. And I really think Miami's defense is going to be terrible. Like, so the Browns could just be scoring a lot. And then, like, third tight end is defensible here, but I think we'll just take 2 more right out.
How much defensive projection are we doing 10 months before the game?
That's a thin edge I try to attack sometimes. And it doesn't always pay off, but I've been pretty good at it, Like, that's a reason I had 2x the field of Chris Carson and Rashad Penny.
People forget People forget Chris Carson was in the NFL at the time that this was happening. All right, we need a correlated Deshaun Watson piece, probably.
I think. Well, Jonnu Smith, fun correlation. Can we go 7 wide receivers only on this team?
I wouldn't, because we've got 3 rookies. I think we need 8.
We're doing it. You're doing it. We're doing
He
it.
He served me my own medicine, folks.
I'm just trying to have you feel that so that I can help your future streams. And we're going to get a Browns wide receiver here, because go with God if you guys want Elijah Moore or Cedric Tillman.
We can get Jamari Thrash. Easy.
We're not doing that. And even like Watson is not a necessary to correlate guy, right? Like Watson throws in 2 rushing touchdowns. All right, the team so far, Hurts and Watson.
You don't want to have 2 uncorrelated quarterbacks though. Like Liam, I don't think we drafted the $1.5 million.
Watson is correlated, brother. He's correlated with the Miami pieces we've taken.
And we got, what do we have? Do we have a Dallas player? We don't.
We don't. But here's our week 17 correlation so far. Kincaid with no, we didn't take a Jet. Lied there. Kincaid and Coleman. So 2 Jets pieces. Metcalf and Rome Odunze. Jalen Wright, Tyreek, Watson. Jonnu, Tyreek, Watson, and then Zamir White with Chris Olave. So we have quite a bit of like ancillary week 17 correlation.
Yeah, we just didn't do teammate correlation, which doesn't feel that good.
Yeah, but we have Hurts and Watson. Like, we're kind of hoping that they do it on the ground. And we could have done Goddard for what it's worth, but you were adamant we don't do that.
I was not adamant.
Maybe that's a spot I should have overruled you on.
The team definitely the team is a better screenshot for sure if we have Goddard there. That is absolutely positive.
I like it, honestly. And like, okay, Sanat has downside, but both Jonnu and Sanat offer significant upside, in my opinion.
I don't know how much upside. I agree with you, but not Jonnu. I don't.
Jonnu's upside is Tyreek runs a clear out, Waddle runs a clear out, Tua hits Jonnu for a 5-yard catch in the, as a dump off, and then he just runs 40 yards because that's what he does. He's good at yard after the catch. That's upside.
He's gonna get like 37 targets.
He's probably the chalk option to be the 3rd target.
No, if Odell is on the field, he will be the 3rd target. Actually, the running backs will be. Mostert or A-Chain will be the 3rd.
As far, not including the running backs. So now is a clear time to take Cedric Tillman. And that's why we take Jonnu.
That's why we take Jonnu, baby.
That's why you take Jonnu first, because it's like, go with God if you guys want to snipe us on Cedric Tillman. Cedric Tillman, probably not good. 3rd round selection last year, though. Recently getting buzz over Elijah Moore. The assumption there would be that Jerry Jeudy moves to the slot, Tillman plays outside, Amari Cooper plays outside, and Elijah Moore goes to 0. This is my burner, by the way.
No, Liam, you don't understand. You should do that all the time. Anytime anyone disagrees with you, I disagree with you, Jacob disagrees with you, Peter disagrees with you, you should be like, oh yeah? How many times did you ship Best Ball Mania? The only person you couldn't do that to is Kareem.
Really lean into that. And then when Kareem's on, be like, yeah, but you only won 1 Best Ball tournament, brother. I've won 3. Even though his 1 tournament win was worth significantly more money.
That's the thing is he would turn it around and he would say, yeah, but I made all the money.
Yeah. I like this team, Davis. You may not like it because it doesn't feel as nice not to have tier stacks.
I think we got a lot of very good individual player values. I like the way the players fit together. I think it's a good profile of some floor guys and some high ceiling guys. I think it is unlikely to be the shipper because the correlations are not that good.
Well, here, let me show you something real quick, Davis.
Oh, he's doing it. I've never seen this before. This is cool.
Let me show you something real quick.
People forget he won the war room.
No, I got 5th in the puppy.
People forget
Josh Allen hit the lineup. Josh Allen hit the lineup. Did Cole Beasley? No, the stack partner did not.
Dude, this is you showing me a Josh Allen, Cole Beasley team that I like. That is just so goddamn fun. Jeff Wilson, where was Jeff Wilson drafted that year?
So Jeff Wilson was a guy I purposely started drafting after he got hurt.
Yeah.
Because I knew the market wouldn't be drafting him. And so the guys who hit the lineup, Josh Allen naked off of 2 rushing touchdowns. Here, we can actually jump into the week. Yeah, Fields was a 0 that whole year, by the way. So single quarterback team, 81 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns against the Falcons.
Oh my God, dude. This is
I targeted the Falcons defense 2 years in a row because I drafted Trey McBride the next year in the 5-5-5. Rashad Penny, JT, Damian Harris. Dude, if Damian Harris didn't get hurt last year, he would have been better. Aaron Jones, whatever. Jamar Chase. So we beat the Joe Burrow team. Like, this guy probably had Joe Burrow.
Okay, that's why now I'm coming. Now I'm remembering why you're a Jamar Chase guy.
Yeah, well, yeah, you gotta have some brand loyalty, but
yes, for sure.
Also, he's just a good pick. Chase 50, Amon-Ra 30, Tyler Boyd 11. Again, didn't have the quarterback, but the quarterback is the most replaceable part of the stack.
The quarterback is the most replaceable part. Yeah,
it just is, right?
How
so that's
funny?
Why I don't care
how funny is Chase Claypool being on that team?
And MVS, 2 future Bills.
Yeah.
And Diami Brown was a 0.
I was gonna say Diami Brown, another future Bill next year for sure.
Yeah, he was. I think Crane was big on him that year. Didn't pay off, but like MVS, Diami Brown, they were deep A-dot guys. True. Didn't even need Noah Fant 18 because the 7 would have won it from Mike Gesicki. But we lapped the field that year, and surprisingly, somehow, I don't know how this is even possible. But Joe Burrow wasn't on any team until the 6th place team because the final field was only 160 people that year, right? And not 500 people. Why does Liam look like Josh Allen? I get that, and Brock Purdy sometimes.
I like the O tag next to guys who are out of the NFL. That is good. that is good.
No, that was that game. They were injured that game.
But okay.
But it actually is true also for out of the NFL. But no, like Singletary still in the NFL, just was out that game.
That's really good content.
So yeah, I mean, look, when you reach the point is when you reach a finals, which in theory you should be drafting like you do, it's not always 100% essential to have a direct stack, such as this game where we're like Hurts scores 2 rushing touchdowns or Watson does. And then just like, you don't need Derek Carr's quarterback points. You don't need Geno's quarterback points. You don't need Caleb Williams. You don't need Josh's. You don't need Tua's because we're getting the rushing production and we've built out the stacks without the quarterbacks. And it's the easiest part to replace. So like not how I always build, but I think it's fine to mix it in where you're just like, I'm drafting a lot of players who I think are good. I like their week 17 matchups. Let's go, baby.
Sure.
This guy's not a believer of your positivity.
Tough scene.
The chat's fiending for some cloud chasing after Sanderson left.
Yeah.
Jacob, or Davis, I'm gonna grab one more beer and do another draft. If you want to stay, you are welcome. If you gotta go,
I'm bouncing out. I got a dinner to go to.
Tell the people something before you go. I'm gonna grab a beer. Thanks for coming on, brother.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Have a happy 4th. I'll probably jump in tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Guys, I'm gonna stream tomorrow at 10:30 in the morning for I'll do at least 2, maybe 3. We'll see what's going on there. Make sure you check out the new Patreon that I just launched. I got my first article up, got rankings up. I'm going to be posting Dynasty rankings in the morning. So it sounds like Liam will probably come and hang out with me tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. 10:30 a.m. Well, I got to look. Let me check my text. No, 10:30 a.m. Central Time on my YouTube channel. We will be live, I'll send a tweet out in the morning, and yeah, we'll do it. I'll definitely do a Best Ball Mania. We'll see if Liam joins on. I'm gonna start regardless on if anyone's there. So I guess I gotta make another thumbnail. I'll have to do I'll have to do my cute little pose. Pretty ridiculous feeling to be doing your thumbnail picture by yourself in your desk. It feels a little bit ridiculous, but I'll have that going on. And yeah, 10:30 a.m. Central. So we'll be there. Liam, I will send you the StreamYard link in the morning when I create it. You can show up, you can not show up, but I'm vibing.
Sounds good, brother. See you then.
All right, later, dude.
Bye. All right, guys, I'm going to do one more. If you're counting at home, yes, I have drinking 3 different types of beers. Just clearing out the fridge here. We got first up, we did a long ale. Then we did a Land Shark, and now we're doing a session ale, so an IPA. So a bit of a stiff change. And I thought for this BBM5, something I could do, a fun little present is I'm going to try to select the player who I think qualifies for upside at every single pick. So every single pick, I'm not settling. I'm going to try to capture upside here, either single week upside or total week upside at every single pick. So let's F and rip it. This is my 84th BBM5 team. Again, I am going to Ireland on Sunday for 2 weeks, and then I have a wedding when I return. So I'll still be streaming, but I'll be a little sparse these next 2 weeks. Liam 3 beers, get the man a water. We got water here too. Again, if you missed the article I dropped yesterday, let me just link it. I dropped a bunch of low-owned, high-upside plays. I've noticed that some other analysts, starting the day after I dropped this article, started tweeting about some of these players. Maybe coincidence, maybe not. So check that out over at beatbestball.com. $99 for a year. 1 million, not enough for some real glassware? What's wrong with these? These are good. My girlfriend bought all those. This guy's wasted. Oh, brother. This guy's name is $1 Million Sleeper. Drawing dead. First off, first place is 1.5 million. So change your name. Just kidding. 81 for me. I bet it starts to fill quicker this weekend. 4th of July weekend, and tomorrow's a great time to be drafting. So it's not that good a time to like shun your family over it, but definitely get in some drafts. You can afford a mini fridge. Okay, but I mean, that's a novelty. I can walk to my fridge. Can you explain the logic of visiting Ireland? Having a hard time seeing how this is plus EV. Great question, James. Great question. Let's go. Okay, so we're trying to capture upside. Really tough because I think AJ Brown qualifies as wide receiver 1. Bijan, RB1. Let's do AJ Brown. We're saying AJ Brown, both in a single week upside and season long. He can be wide receiver 1 and he can score 50 points in a game. First of all, I'm Irish. Second of all, my parents are going. My cousins, some of my aunts and uncles are going. This is probably like the last big travel trip that some of them may do. You know, they're in their 60s to 70s. I am Irish. I've never been. So I really want to visit the country. Just feel the motherland. You know, we're going to be staying in the house of my ancestors, apparently. And just seems like a really great time. The only drawback is I don't get to play the World Series of Poker main event this year, but I was able to buy a share of Sammy Reed, who does a podcast with Davis. So I bought a little bit of share of him, but you know, we'll sacrifice the main event this year for Just a great time traveling Ireland. How many shares of Bo Melton will you have? I've drafted him once so far in a drafters. So I guess it depends on what kind of buzz he gets. Cheating on America? Come on, Mac. I was the one chanting USA. Don't make it me versus America. This is our 4th of July stream. I specifically did this. Okay, yeah. So when I think of upside, I think of Brandon Ayuk. 1,300 yards, 7 touchdowns. Why can't that grow to 1,600 yards? Why can't he have a 3-touchdown game? Wins down the field, elite wide receiver. Yeah, this is a good time to get in when I'm out of the country. My grandmother, Jermaine, wrote a book on like my family's heritage. And I remember being interviewed when I was like 8. And my snippet in the book, it's like all of our ancestry, right? And it's like Liam Murphy plays T-ball, age 8, you know, like soccer, blah, blah, blah. Let's check in on our YouTube subscribers. I'm on the road to 5K. Seems unlikely, but maybe we approached 5K this stream. Nope. We've gained I think like 4 subscribers. So tough game. We can't update it though. We got 4811. So sub 200. Liam Murphy, age 8, on the road to 5K. It's kind of funny because my mom has now kind of taken up my grandmother's interest, where she's like really interested in our heritage now. Like I'm interested in it, in my ancestry, but it's not like, you know, my favorite topic or whatever. But I mean, maybe I'll pick that up when I'm in my 60s. Let's retweet this. Jacob sent me a screenshot of his team while in a draft with me. So Jacob, they might not teach this in Canada, but when I'm in a draft with you, I can see your team, brother. All right. Another point for USA. How you touch grass, and then there's a photo of like 2 people applying sunscreen to each other. Thanks, Jacob, for getting us outside. Here, let's open this so we can zoom. This is Jacob's grass touching. By the way, not a single blade of grass. This is all sand. Another point for America's education system. Wow. I've never seen Saquon this far back. Pick 32. Oh, man, he really doesn't fit the bill as the upside pick. Whatever, we're doing it. This is a rare gift. It shouldn't be there. His ADP is 21. I do think he's going to fall. Like, I don't have a lot of Saquon. I literally took my first 3 shares yesterday and the day before that, and now. But people are pairing AJ Brown and Saquon in the 2nd round. Let's do it in the 3rd. You need to win a tourney to really blow up. Look at Karain. My biggest problem, Big Lenny, was not that. It was that I didn't bother launching my best ball site until after I won. Like I won 2 best. Like I should have launched a site after I won BBM2, or maybe I should have launched it the next year after I won the DK 555 and the DK 2K. Take one is an upside though. In this case, is the RB1, brother. So we fudge the math there. Would you rather be Irish or something cool? Banned from the chat. Boo. Boo. What's up, Raphael? Again, check out beatbestball.com. You can also become a YouTube member. That helps support. Saquon is an upside. Look, I don't love Saquon in the second, but in the third round, it's like, what's the tangible difference between him and a bunch of other running backs? This is just a temporary dip on Saquon until all the fish return in a couple of weeks. I feel that way about a bunch of guys. Like, I saw, like, no offense if you love Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry climbing in drafts to, like, the second round is a sign that casual drafters are returning. Because they love them some Derrick Henry. That's cool, dude. Shout out Milk Dog, YouTube member. I mean, I feel like we have to go Hurts. Building out the Eagles alpha, and Hurts qualifies as upside because we're just going to say he's QB1. He's QB1, and he throws touchdowns to Saquon and A.J. Brown. Boom. Easy game. Had a dream that Saquon told me he was washed, plummeted down my rankings. I mean, I've had Saquon ranked at the 2-3 turn, if not after, the whole year. Now that other ranking providers are doing that, I guess I'm going to bump him down further. But yeah, it does feel temporary. The upside for Saquon is clear, right? Like, you look at what CMC did going from the Panthers to the 49ers, and you just say he does roughly that. What do casual drafters usually go for? First really competitive year this year. I would say, in general, Raphael, casual drafters like running backs more. You know, they're not thinking like, oh, I have to start 3 wide receivers each week. They're like, where the hell is Zeke? You know, they're like, oh, Derrick Henry's big. He's now a Raven. Let's go. Like that's what they're thinking about. Quarterback is an interesting discussion because casual drafters like some quarterbacks, but dislike others. Where I would say, like, casual drafters are more, in the past, would more likely be like, Joe Burrow goes Burr, let's get him. And they're not stacking. Now, though, casual drafters might be like, Joe Burrow got hurt, he's dead. You know, like they overreact. They overreact to, like, the most recent years. The casuals will probably pull the elite quarterbacks up. I'm not so sure, man. I do think QB prices falling overall is a temporary dip where I'm going to bump CJ Stroud down in my rankings. Not because I dislike CJ Stroud more, but because I've started to see him go in the 70s and 80s. And someone asked me, why did I put Brees and Bijan ahead of Puka, which I think I'm going to change. And it's because if you're like regularly importing my ranks, you weren't getting any Bijan and Brees. And so a couple weeks of the year, I want to put them ahead. So it's like, okay, this is the week we're getting these guys. You know what I'm saying? So like that way you can still get exposure to all the first round guys. It's not really a tangible difference, Puka versus Brees versus Bijan. And I don't want my people drafted out my rankings to have 0 Brees and 0 Bijan, which maybe they would when I had Puka ahead of them. Okay, so we need upside. I think in a single week upside, James Cook fits the bill. We've already talked about how James Cook is a good pairing with Jalen Hurts teams because we're inherently fading Josh Allen being the QB1 a little bit. So let's go James Cook here. No Devil's Grass currently, but I mean, if that doesn't get me like struck off the record of YouTube, I'd do that. Hands, I'm not even going to answer that question. The answer is yes. I'm going to link you a free article I wrote. 100% free. Doesn't even require a free subscription. But yes, reaching to get unique is 100% viable. I think like some people will not reach at the top half. They'll only reach late. Where like yesterday I did a stream with Davis And I told Davis, I think if you going Mark Andrews and Lamar to pair with Lamb and CMC is a very chalk combo. Meaning it's being done a lot. And I said, if you really like Lamar and Andrews that much, and you're only pairing them with Lamb and CMC, that is bad. You should purposely take them occasionally at the 3-4 turn to pair with Garrett Wilson, Puka, AJ Brown, whatever. Because the field's not doing it. And then Davis, later in the draft, wanted to take Jalen Polka pick 122 when his ADP is 144. And I said, okay, that's fine, but you're just sacrificing the whole 11th round of players when you regularly do that, because you could literally get them with our next pick. And so some people prefer to get unique later in the rounds. I think it's arguably a little bit better at the top of the draft because it's more likely that the guys at the top of the draft are going to be the difference makers, aka the guys who score a lot of points week 17. So therefore, they're the ones we want to have unique combos of. All right, we need to hit upside here. I think Christian Watson is about as clear of an upside case as you can make, where you simply say he stays healthy, he scores 1,000 yards plus and 10 plus touchdowns as the Packers' #1 option. What is up? Flip the board. Yep. Feels like reaching to get unique is much more relevant in shorter window contests. I think that's something that people just like to say because it sounds smart. Because I disagree. It is true that some players' ADPs will fall and rise naturally. So you could be reaching and not getting a unique combo by the end of the day. However, if you reach on, say, 5 to 10% of your drafts, you don't have to worry about that because you are going to land some unique combos. So it's nice to say, I like to do this in time box contests. Meaning contests that fill overnight, like the puppies, right? But it's like, come on now. That's not really like, there are some players who we can just think through. They're just not going to change an ADP. Like Marvin Harrison Jr. is not going to move from the 1-2 turn unless he gets hurt. If he gets hurt, so be it. But as things stand, he's an okay player to reach with at the 1-2 turn for unique purposes. I don't really like to reach at the 1-2 turn this year because I don't want to give up my exposure to these players. But the 2-3 turn, take a guy like Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk is not going to go from a second-round player to a 3-4 turn player unless he gets traded to a terrible team or hurt. Both things which I think are unlikely. So he's a fine guy to reach at the 1-2 turn. It's not about unique combos. It's about unique teams. Again, I think something that people like to say because it sounds smart, but a unique combo is inherently a unique team. And if you're using that as a crux to say, it's fine that I always pair Marvin Harrison Jr. and Drake London, like a super chalk combo, because I'm getting unique at the back end, you're just giving up the ability to have unique combos higher in the draft, which again are more likely to be impact players, the guys that you need to have week 17. On a total points contest, I think it can be argued that reaching is even better. Because in something like BBM5, the finals field is only roughly 500 people. So even if you have a unique combo, you don't have to beat that many teams. But in something like drafters or the marathon, you have to beat every single team in the contest to win first. And they're both really top heavy. So landing a unique combo there is even better. How much are you worrying about correlation on total points contests outside of stack? I don't worry about anything, but I do occasionally division stack there. This is a lot of words here. Appreciate you, Lex. Jeez. Keon Coleman qualifies as an upside swing. Running back wide receiver correlation is generally good to make. And it's quite nice to get Coleman as your wide receiver 4, allowing you to comfortably start hitting other positions. Quite like the team we have so far. Hurts, Saquon, James Cook, A.J. Brown, Ayuk, Christian Watson, Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman, a boom bust pick, and that's what we're doing, dude. We don't care about floor right now. We're swinging for upside. And okay, like, what's a boom for Keon Coleman? A boom is 900 to 1,000 yards, 6 to 10 touchdowns. What's a bust? 5 to 600 yards, 3 to 4 touchdowns. So still getting even if he's that, as long as I'm not like depending on him, yeah, still fine. What's the reasoning behind division stack? Expected points total? It's the same reasoning as getting a week 17 game stack. It's just a little bit correlation. Because teams play each other 2 games. So if you stack up the Bears, the Lions, and the Packers, you now have gotten 6 game stacks. Okay. I think the highest upside running back here is Zach Moss. I think the highest upside tight end is Brock Bowers. There's no wide receiver to even speak of. So even though Moss has downside, he has upside. Jacob did not convince me on his Moss is bad. And ESPN Next Gen rushing stats seems to not hate him. This is straight yards. This is efficiency is basically your ability to go north to south. So Moss gets the yards that are there. Same as JT. 8 men in the box we don't really care about. Average time behind the line of scrimmage. I don't really know what that captures. Rushing yards over expected, we know what that captures. That's basically like, are you efficient? Moss rates well there. 129 yards. Rushing yards over expected per attempt. That tries to catch it for efficiency. So he's the 5th best running back in the NFL ahead of Breece Hall, behind James Conner last year, behind Jalen Warren, behind CMC, behind Achane. Rush percent over expected. Don't exactly know what that is, but he rates fine there. Top 15 or so. Have I tried the sidekick tool? No. A, I don't need that. B, it's like $200 a month for what? Like, appreciate the super chat, by the way. To tell me that the Eagles play the Cowboys week 17, like, come on. I would take myself against a room of people drafting with that tool, by the way. I'm not worried about that tool, but I do think it's bad for the ecosystem. It is what it is. It's a way for their site to charge their loyal customers some more money. That's what it is. Yeah, I do think this happens. Scarecrow with the plug. $200 a month. It's $99 for the year to learn from a 3-time best ball champion, by the way, over at beatbestball.com. And I myself not anyone that works for me, because it's just me, have written. How many articles have I written so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 articles so far, and we're just getting started. I got a bunch of articles written as well. Wow, what pick are we at here? Pick 104. Dak is here. Doesn't correlate. Goddard's here. Jordan Love is here. Let's go Jordan Love. Let's just, it's not my preferred thing to always take another quarterback expensively when I've taken a Hurts or Allen. But the Jaden redrafter is on my inside, so I want to get some love that way. Correct. Agreed. Agreed. Yeah. I get a lot of shade from some other people. If you listen to them, there's a lot of digs, Okay, Scarecrow. Maybe you weren't, I definitely think that happens, though, sometimes. Appreciate the super chat, by the way, brother. No, I don't think it's free. I think it's $200 a month. That's what I heard. Yeah, I don't get it either. I think, you look at these DFS sites like Osimo. I think most of their revenue is probably selling Sims at a similar price point, and they figured that's what it goes for DFS. Why not do it for best ball? And again, I'm pretty against the tools, but if the sites are going to do nothing to police them and people want them, it would be very easy for me to hire a coder to make one for myself. I could tell them what to do, Purdy would be fun. We're not doing that, though. Seems like a great time to get our tight end 1, Dallas Goedert, to go with Hurts. Lex, appreciate you, brother. Josh Reynolds picked 20 on drafters. That seems like a star method gone wrong or something. HUD arms race? Yeah, look, I don't know. You guys can look at my streams last year where Brick released a HUD. I spoke up against it. I'm not going to fight that fight every year. I don't want to be making content about how HUDs are bad. I would like the sites to step in. This is going to be a 3 tight end team. It depends who my second tight end is. I don't care if someone in the streets uses a HUD because they're a coward. I do think it's bad for the ecosystem, though, if some finance bro can roll off his couch and be auto-drafted for. Come on, Liam. Was Goddard the highest upside there? I think he was, man. Why can't Goddard score 10 touchdowns when I need to consider my roster construction a little bit? Oh, maybe it's $200 a month, $500 a year. I don't know. I just think it's weak. You have to keep in mind, Mac, the ROI the sites care about is not from best ball. It's from sports betting. So Yeah, that was my opinion. Good business, greed. It's debatable, you know. If I build up a loyal bit of subscribe, like let's say I have 1,000 people subscribed to my site, and then I'm like, okay, making the money's nice, but now I hire a bunch of people. Some of these people obviously run thousands of dollars into best ball. They don't really care about $500 a year. How do I charge them more? You create something. You have to create something new, right? Which a HUD qualifies. And Pat wasn't the first one to do this. Spike Week did it as well. So, like, if they did it, why not me? I think is a fair mentality. And, like, maybe I have to have that mentality too. If they did it, why not me? But I don't care, you know. It's probably not going to be my lane. I think if someone was advising me as a business, though, they'd be like, what the F are you talking about? You should sell this product too. Mike Williams, mega upside. Is there downside there? Yes, but we're going for upside. I have no idea. And I really don't think it's that I'm really not that worried about it personally. I do think it raises the chance of collusion occurring, which is bad for the ecosystem. Because a big non-worry about collusion, meaning actively cheating, is it requires a huge time sink to pull off. So you'd have to be an idiot to try to do that in best ball, where you could just like log into online poker and like really easily cheat and turn a profit that way. But if you have robots that can do it for you en masse, now you can start some bot farms in theory. These are all my opinions, though. Definitely not. I think that's a bad suggestion, Raphael. Yeah, I don't get the streamers who do a HUD. Seems sad. I don't buy DFS sims, but if they're only $80, yeah, that seems like a disparity. Mike Williams used to be a Charger, so he pairs with Justin Herbert. Jokes. Let's do Rico. Get some Cowboys Week 17 correlation to go with the Eagles pieces. I would expect casuals to bring elite quarterback up and QBs 9 to 17 down, like everyone past Dak. That's possible, but I could see, you know, like I could see Purdy being liked by them. I could see some like Kirk Cousins love, some Rodgers love. Keep in mind, we're going to get Hard Knocks buzz on the Bears, I believe, this year. Did anyone watch the Hard Knocks Giants stuff? If you watched the Hard Knocks Giants episode, right now. Yes, I do. You can check out my rankings for my thoughts there. But if you've watched the Giants Hard Knocks stuff, please identify yourself in the chat. Because my question is, I'm pretty sure the Bears are the training camp Hard Knocks team. You watched it? Thank you, guys. I'm going to watch it later, but is it just pre-June Hard Knocks? Like, is it pre-training camp Hard Knocks, and then they're going to have a different Hard Knocks? Yes? Okay, yes. Yeah, so, like, we're not, you know, watching the Bears Hard Knocks, we're going to get some actually, like, potentially actionable info. Like, the Jets were the team last year. Off-season free agency draft. Okay. Yeah, so it's like all stuff that's already kind of happened. So it's really not that impactful. Whereas the Bears offseason or the Bears Hard Knocks, I believe they're the team. Like, we're going to like see like, oh shit, like Rome's getting the ball, you know, or whatever. I don't watch the in-season Hard Knocks. Really, no point. Hard Knocks is HBO follows NFL teams, and if you haven't made the playoffs in the past X years, you are eligible to be selected. Okay. Let's see, what pick are we at here? Our pick 152. We already have James Cook, so I think we'll pass on Ray Davis for now. Let's go Darnell Mooney, who I think qualifies as a huge single week upside player. He's not been great the past 2 years, but our hope for him is that he is 85% of Jordan Addison in a Kirk Cousins offense. You know, London is Jefferson, Pitts is Hawkinson, Mooney is Addison. Hey, no need to be rude here, Jason. Come on now. We have all different ages watching this. If I was 60, would I know what Hard Knocks is? Probably not, you know? Oh, you meant you took him in the round 20. Yeah, Josh Reynolds is a defensible round 20 pick. I prefer him on Bo Nix stacks. I have no idea who the voice is. I know the voice of Hard Knocks is effing sick, but yeah, the Giants were pretty lucky to make the playoffs that year. That's something the market tends to like overreact on. Like the teams that like ran good. A good way to look at that is like, how did you perform in one-score games? And if you won all your one-score games, that is overperform. Leave Sheber. Let's look him up. Leave Shebird. Oh, this dude looks effing sick. Man, I'm not taking a lot of Hawkinson. I think Kamani Vidal is the biggest upside swing we can make right now, though. The theory is J.K. Dobbins is a nothing. Gus Edwards is what he is. Kamani Vidal has high 0 potential as a 6th-round selection, but if he is that Chargers starter, boom, there's your upside. Yeah, no, Garrett Wilson 101 is 100% defensible. Again, I don't like sacrificing this group of players. So the 101 is not my preferred spot to implement a reaching system, but Garrett Wilson is overwhelmingly paired with the players at the 2, 3, and 4 turns here, and not as commonly paired with the players on this side of the draft board. So you're just getting a unique combo. And Garrett Wilson follows a lot of similarities with CeeDee Lamb as far as potentially wide receiver 1. Yeah, now is a good time. Sorry if I missed it, James. What's your question on the eliminators? I've not been doing any eliminators. I don't really know what strategy is actionable there other than like have a decently high floor. It's not my favorite. It's very big. It's not my favorite contest. Will I do some streams? Probably. Brother, hang it up. Take AOC over that. Why are you taking 2 backup quarterbacks? Liam, do a bunch of slows so you can stream that in Ireland. And then he added some like, I don't even know how you wrote that. First of all, I accidentally entered a slow and I'm having a very bad time. So I have that. But no, I'm not going to be doing a slow draft stream this time. Maybe I will in the future, but I'm not doing that in Ireland. Jets offensive outlook. Yeah, I would say that's the major difference. The major difference is we've seen Dak and the Cowboys be elite, as recently as 2 years before CeeDee Lamb's breakout. We don't have quite the certainty about the Jets. However, they are a 9.5 win total team. We have seen Aaron Rodgers be elite before. Why can't he do it again? Maybe that ayahuasca will pay off. Oh, that's the Ireland flag. It just shows up as IE for me. No Fant being a 15th round selection. I think we're done at running back. I think Conklin fits the bill as upside because you may not believe me, but he could be the Jets' second target. And also, we got Mike Williams, we got James Cook, we got Keon Coleman. So we're kind of building out a Bills-Jets Week 17 game stack. With Conklin, I could comfortably stop at 2 tight ends. I don't have to. I could add a third. And we're pretty much only selecting wide receivers and some tight ends going forward. Probably strong enough at running back. Just hope that Rico and Kamani pay off. Even if they don't, this trio could be good enough. $87 targets 3 years in a row for Conklin at 100%. And also, like we've seen Robert Tonyan have like a breakout year with Rodgers. The only downside is like if Jeremy Ruckert and co push Conklin, but Conklin is a pretty nice bet to be number 2, number 3 target of the Jets. For me, it shows up as a flag. Even when I pull the comment up, yeah, like I don't really agree with Rodgers' nonsense. Like I think he's like an attention grabber, but I do agree that the market is discounting him because of that. Okay, so if we're going third tight end, Isaiah Likely definitely fits the bill as the upside swing. And let's do that. Why not? Let's have some fun. Let's get third up tight end. Major downside of him just being a 0, but when we're doing a draft trying to land upside, I like Conklin. And we'll go 2 more wide receivers and call it a stream. Are you fine having higher exposures on late round picks? I like Mitchell a lot, so normally grab him late. 100%. I play the late rounds many different ways. Occasionally, I will just go overboard on some players who I think are mispriced. I did that with Kyren Williams. I didn't start drafting Kyren Williams until August. I only had roughly like 40 BBMs probably left by then. And I selected Kyren Williams 25 times, meaning I was selecting him literally, I don't know, like, what is that? 25 divided by 40? 60% of the time. So sometimes I'll do that where I'll just have like a different flavor of the month or a different flavor of the week, even. Other times I will spread it out. So like you saw us select Xavier Gibson. That's a like very rarely selected type of guy with Rodgers. That's not a guy who I'm like hammering Xavier Gibson. I draft Malachi Corley. I draft Mike Williams. I draft Conklin. I don't want to miss the forest for the trees in case it's Gibson. Conklin could be tight end 1 week 17. Seems like a bad matchup if Matt Milano is healthy, who's a really good coverage tight end, but, in the cards. That man bun alone has to be worth 2 touchdowns from Rodgers from he's talking about Conklin. That's funny. Think you're talking about Saquon here. Was asking about broad strategies for approaching Eliminator because I have plans to max it. Broad strategies for Eliminator. Try to capture a high floor, whatever that means to you. Probably, and maybe you could debate you should build a little more balanced. Okay, let's get some wide receivers to call it a day here. We could go Bo Melton and appease that guy, but let's go Malik Washington. Just kind of locked eyes with him. Qualifies as upside. Could be Odell, so that's downside. And I think we'll end with one of the Dallas dudes. Tolbert already got selected. Maybe we won't go Dallas wide route. You do another draft after this? I'm going to call it a day here, guys. I am going to Ireland on Sunday, so I got some things I need to do. But I did do 3 drafts. If you missed it, I had Jacob Sanderson on the first draft. And then Davis jumped on. And then I did a solo one. So 3 hours to hold you through July 4th. If you're spending it at home. Brownlee. Yeah, Brownlee, it seems like a worse bet than Gibson. But he exists too. One more beer. Well, I don't think I have any more beers. I'm clearing out my fridge with all these randos. All right. We could do a guy like Odell who kind of qualifies as like just capturing the Dolphins' third wide receiver and living with the fact that one of the dudes is a 0. But Jalen Brooks also qualifies. We're going to do Trey Tucker. Trey Tucker, not going to be a smash from a regular season, but from a single week upside, he qualifies. Where with his speed, he could just, he could have that 2-3 touchdown game. You hope it lands against the Saints. And so with that, we have a Hurts, Jordan Love team. Saquon Cook, Zach Moss, Rico Dowdle, Kamani Vidal at running back. A.J. Brown, Ayuk, Watson, Keon Coleman, Mike Williams, Darnell Mooney, Malik Washington, Trey Tucker at wide receiver. Goddard, Conklin likely at tight end. Again, this team could have stopped at 2 tight ends and added another wide receiver or even another running back, but we didn't this time. Appreciate you guys all being here. Please do like and subscribe. Maybe I'll be back tomorrow, but probably not. Probably come back the day after. Enjoy your 4th of July. Go America. Go your country if you're watching from a different country. Have a great day. Bye.